Let's have a look at the starting grid now for Fuso. Last race of the year, his 200th V8 supercar race, Shane Van Gisbergen on pole. 4th yesterday, Jason Bright alongside him. Seeking title number 5 in 6 years, Jamie Whincup alongside the man who's now battling for 3rd in the championship, and there's 12 points between Frosty and his teammate, Will Davison. Transmission failure yesterday for Scotty McLaughlin. Then it's Jonathan Webb, 2nd yesterday. Awesome job. And Tony D'Alberto, 6th yesterday. Lowndes, 15th yesterday. He's 110 points behind. Can he come from 9th to get the job done? And what is the future for Alex Davison, 10th on the grid at the moment in 2014?
We just saw Prema and Percat, now Fabian Coulthard and Garth Tander. He was in the wars yesterday, GT. Michael Caruso, the Norton Hornets, with Chaz Mostert alongside him. Davey Reynolds and David Wall for Wilson Security Racing make up positions 17 and 18. Rick Kelly and Tim Slade, so a Nissan and a Merc, filling 19 and 20. There's Lee Holdsworth and Tim Blanchard as we move our way down the back of the field, and we find Russell Ingall for the final time, starting from position 24. Come on, Enforcer. Knock him dead. Push your way through the field and give us another one to remember. Murrow Ingall and Scott Pye round out our 28 cars who've taken us on a wild ride for 2013, but it's not done with yet. The Sydney Olympic Park precinct is shining once again. The circuit framed around iconic sporting landmarks, ANZ Stadium, Allphones Arena, home to the GWS Giants. We've got the lot here. And there he is. Just hard to comprehend how Russell Ingall's going to deal with this start.
He'll have tears in his eyes, Matt, no doubt about that. We just saw the emotion before the start. He's been such a tough, hard competitor. And 24th on the grid, he will certainly come forward.
11 race wins for this season for Jamie Whincup and 13 pole positions. That's how to put together a championship year. There's Mark Winterbottom.
Matty, just down here at the start line, I like having a look at these guys bring it up to the line. You can see them on and off the brakes, heating their tyres. Start's obviously going to be critical. Now, the engineers, Wally Story, Blake here, bringing their cars up. They're about 300 mil behind the line. Bridie stopping a little bit earlier there. Now, the reason they're pulling up a little bit early is when they put them into gear, they might roll forward a little bit. And here, we've talked about it before, there is no specific racing line. Both of these guys can have a dead set crack at winning this start. Barrecci down the back there somewhere.
Larko, this just gets your heart pumping. What they're waiting for, all the crew chiefs at the moment and the team managers, is to see a green flag at the rear of the field. That will happen when all of these yellow flags are pulled back. So at the moment, there's Rick Kelly, there's Tim Slade. They will line up. You'll see as they get into position, that yellow flag drops away. It comes off the circuit, and that's a signal to our guy at the back of the field that they are ready to go. Next row, this row here, Lee Holdsworth, Tim Blanchard, yellow flag down. We are set to go. 2 more rows to lock in, and at the back of the field, we'll get the green flag. And Steve has the green flag at the moment. He is in control of the race. 2 more yellows to come. Steve is in position. Watch for the green flag. That says we are green to go to race, and we have 5 seconds to start. Green flag, let's go!
You said it, Brits. Let's go. Let's get it on for the final time in 2013. 250 Ks to go to decide our champion for the season. And Bright puts the hammer down. Winterbottom cuts ahead in front of Whincup, who wants to stay out of trouble down to turn 1. Look at Lowndes. He's aggressive already. Van Gisbergen leads them through. A big dive from the 2 HRT cars, and there is contact. Tony D'Alberto gets squeezed into the tyre wall.
Big move by Lowndes then, Matt. That was a great move down the inside, and Winterbottom covered Whincup today. Made a mistake yesterday, covered him today.
And look at Percat up the inside of his teammate Tander. That was a bold move. He had to straddle the curbing to get it done. He shot up the inside and the dirty side of the road. He's into it, Nick Percat. Margin here for Van Gisbergen. It was interesting watching the jump from both Bright and Van Gisbergen off the line. Interestingly, the track is 10 degrees hotter at the moment than the start of the race yesterday because of the different start time. That's going to be a factor for tuning and understanding what to get out of these cars.
Mostert up the inside of Dave Reynolds. Big move there at 8.
Up along Dawn Fraser Avenue, up to turn 9. So Van Gisbergen leading Winterbottom. Then Bright, then Whincup, then Davison, McLaughlin and Lowndes. Gives the young Kiwi a touch-up through to turn 10.
He's not going to hold back now. He's already bumped him twice there. He will have a dive. Scott has to block him a little bit.
Blocking already.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can see it already, mate. A bit early on in the race, but keep the pressure up. It's a long way to go.
Jeremy Moore reminding Craig Lowndes that it's a 74-lap race, not a one-lapper.
Craig has to remember that as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Damage here for Jono Webb. On the podium yesterday, he's only just ahead of the medical car after one lap. Second time around. Look at Lowndes going in search of fresh air. Down here towards these nasty curves, 2, 3 and 4. Oh.
That was another bump. He is the king of the Morse code, isn't he?
And he managed to do that with the car virtually up on 2 wheels. Such a narrow part of the circuit. Up to turn 5. A wriggle for Michael Caruso. There's Alex Davison, Rick Kelly, Davey Reynolds, Chaz Mostert. Back to Prema. Here's Russell. Puts a move on Tim Slade.
To 18th. To 18th from 24th. So 6 spots. Opening lap for Engel.
Been steering Jonathan Webb. Problem for the Darrell Lee car. And I reckon there'll be a little bit of damage on D'Alberto's car as well.
So some great first lap efforts. Rick Kelly, 7 spots. Tim Slade, 5 spots. Tander and Caruso, both 5 spots. And as I said, Russell Engel, 6 positions to 18.
So this is on board on the right-hand side of your screen with Craig Lowndes. Remember, he started from position 9. So he had to thread the needle at the start, go right, then go really left. He dips it into the side of the track where the shadows are and the concrete is. So it's hard to control the car there. But he manages to do so. Meanwhile, behind him, we'll see it. Look at him shoot off.
Watch the coverage. So Winterbottom today covered Whincup. Whincup was then stuck, and the 2 HRT cars down the inside. They made contact. Webb into D'Alberto. D'Alberto in the fence. So the steering damage for Webb was incurred then, and the damage for D'Alberto obviously off to the side. Now Fabian Coulthard was the big loser. He lost 12 positions in that opening fracas. So we'll have a look at what's going on there. We'll catch his car at some stage. But Lowndes continues the pressure on McLaughlin.
Yeah, speaking of that pressure, I'm just with Gary Rogers now. Craig Lowndes really putting the heat on your boy, Scott McLaughlin. What can you do in that situation, Gary?
Oh, well, my boy's tough enough. He'll learn it, and maybe Craig should, think a bit about that too. He may be getting a whisker old, but it's a long way to go yet.
It's a big day, Gary.
Yes, it will be.
Hey, Brett, can you just ask Gaz what that beautiful stuff is around his neck there?
The boys love your bling, Gary, too.
It's first class. It's for sale, actually. Ring me straight after the event. It'll be very cheap.
What a shock.
I don't know if that's going to go with the Volvo boys or not.
They love it, mate. They're part of the family now.
Okay. He's been listening to ABBA all day.
Everything's for sale in Gary Rogers' world. And that's a point, though, that Scott McLaughlin's not obliged to just hop out of the way because it's Craig Lowndes chasing him here at the moment. And so it takes a moment, a lap or two, for everyone to get their temperatures and pressures normalised in tyres, get their car into rhythm, get their minds into rhythm. And that's happened now. So McLaughlin's actually just eased off away from Lowndes, but you can see them coming through here.
So they're the differing times between the 2 championship contenders in terms of overall lap times. Not surprisingly, the race leader, fastest lap of the race last time round, 129.85. Look at the heart rate of Craig Lowndes. Up around the 150 mark. It would have been more than that on the first lap while he was tap dancing on the back of Scott McLaughlin's Commodore.
Scott's done a good job then, Matt, because he's got that little gap now. He's actually going towards Will Davison. So he's moved away from Craig, and he's now the 3rd fastest there, as you can see from those lap times, Van Gisbergen and Winterbottom McLaughlin. That's the best way to respond, is to get your head down, stay on the racing line, and move away. And if Craig's fast enough to get by, he gets by. Seems to be obvious, doesn't it?
So it's a second margin between Van Gisbergen and Winterbottom now, and Van Gisbergen fastest lap of the race, 29.8. All that experience.
Yeah. Only took us 36 races this year to work that out. How many have you done in your career?
Too many.
Way too many. So let's ride here with Lowndes. Just give you an example of an assessment, if you like, of the speed, but also of this circuit. So he's in a battle here with Scott McLaughlin, but everybody's in a battle with the concrete barriers and the road itself bumps.
And just behind Craig Lowndes here is Garth Tander as well after yesterday's tough run. In fact, there's Nick Percat in the lane. So what's the issue here? Not only in the lane, in the garage in the lane.
Keep going.
Jeez, he came out of the blocks firing, didn't he? Put a huge dive on Tander.
It probably comes from that curb jump. It was a pretty heavy curb jump, and then the next chicane he went over that curb too. So once you've done that, it's easy to bend a shock absorber shaft. This is one of the most brutal places. Matt said it many times over the weekend, but it's so hard on the cars.
Well, 77 now DNFs in 9 races at this circuit. They had 5 yesterday. It's an extraordinary number. But I mean, just look around. Look at the view that the driver has, and you can see why. I love this part of the circuit, boys.
Percat broken steering. This is the roller coaster, isn't it? Good.
It is a good ride, isn't it? He was just in behind Lowndes there, so he shot into contention. It's a bit of a shame that he's parked up in the garage, but you've got to make them survive as well. That's part of the art.
The frenzy of activity for pit lane's about to unfold because they're allowed to come in from this lap onwards. When the leader commences the 6th lap, and you'll see some cars right now.
Van Gisbergen margin to Winterbottom still a second. Here comes Alex Davison, Geldwin car in, Alex Premer, Fujitsu Racing GRM. Last run in the Holden for Gary's show. So Premer in, Davison in, Tim Slade in, who's on the move next year, and he was the best of the rest in last year's championship. Tim, he's looking forward to 2014 joining Walkinshaw Racing. Quick bit of panel beating there for the Frenchman. So they're ticking off one of the 2 stops they have to make.
Tim Slade also in there. He did a really good job yesterday. He's been very fast here.
And one of the benefits of getting this done now is you're not in all the congestion, which we saw tons of yesterday.
I don't think you could have made pit lane any harder when you designed this circuit. It's a downhill slope. There's about 3 or 4 different surface changes, and it's fast, and it's rushed. And they're not normally just coming in to say hello. They're coming in to fix things up that they've hit thanks to the concrete barriers that you put around the circuit, Mark.
It's okay.
Shane Van Gisbergen leads the race by just over 0.7 of a second over Mark Winterbottom, but Winterbottom is closing in with fastest lap times. What a day in Sydney. What a weekend in Sydney.
Just back to Tim Slade. Yesterday, his performance was fantastic. It was an 8th placing, and you talked about how strong he was. Here's Lowndes in as well. So splitting strategies, Red Bull Racing Australia. This is what they did yesterday. It was Lowndes in early, remember? He came in with Winterbottom.
Second chance for rears only. It's going to be a quick one, mate. It's about 6 seconds worth of fuel. So I'll get you to keep your foot on the brake and the clutch for me, mate. Got a nice entry in here, so as soon as you come past those COC boys, we'll take advantage of it, come across. No spinning of the wheels.
This will avoid double stacking. This is the issue with this.
It's about 20 litres of fuel.
Rear tyres only.
Just a reminder of the blend line as well when you exit, mate. Just on the fuel, nothing we're concerned about in pit lane. Good to go. Nice drop and jump. Very easy to stall the car when you do that.
And there's the blend line, that yellow line to driver right. So Craig's got to stay left of that until he can get further down the road, then he assumes his racing line approach to turn 1. So that was all textbook, but each step of the way enunciated on the radio so that Craig knows exactly what he's got to do, when he's got to do it, and how he's going to do it, and that way they're reducing the risk through that whole process.
Fastest lap of the race just posted by Mark Winterbottom, 129.36. So he's got a lock on Shane Van Gisbergen in the VIP Pet Foods Commodore.
I think I just heard Whincup might be coming in.
Well, look what that's done to Lowndes as well. It's giving him free track. It's giving him clear space. He can get back into that groove before he has to start fighting battles again. And here comes Whincup.
Haven't visual yet, but we're all set up here for you. We've got a spare garage behind us, so we're going to come across as soon as you get past the heavy haulage kit. Take advantage of that. About 6 seconds worth of fuel, so get you on the brake and the clutch, please. No spinning of the wheels. Brake and clutch.
That's all on a script. So it's the same as Craig, all the same info. Here's the stop point.
4 tyres.
Okay, all wheels are done on the fuel. Nothing in pit lane bothering us. See you.
And no penalty to put them on because it's the fuel that's the governing element. And He comes back out in front of Craig. There's Craig in the background.
So they're on plan A. That's exactly how they would have planned it before the race. Nothing's happened for them to have to adjust their game plan.
And earlier stop for Whincup today relative to yesterday's race. They ran him longer yesterday.
So Red Bull Racing Australia back out there, but Shane Van Gisbergen leads the race. We'll take a break. Bring you back to Sydney Olympic Park.
And while we talk about these two Red Bull cars fighting for the championship, other drivers have championship positions on the line as well. Shane Van Gisbergen leads the race. He's 6th in the championship. He's fighting with Coulthard for 5th, and Fabian had a bad first lap and sits 15th at the moment, but of course a lot of the cars that were running in front of him have made a stop and are now behind him. Winterbottom's in the lane this time around, so he's first in for FPR. McLaughlin in as well. And Winterbottom's fighting for 3rd with his teammate Will Davison in the championship. The fight for a spot in the top 10's on between Webb, McLaughlin and David Reynolds. Here's FPR. 4 tyres as well for car number 5.
Ready to go as soon as it drops, mate. As soon as it drops. You'll be clear, clear, go, go, go.
All pretty good in terms of pit stops for the team so far. They're putting 4 tyres on Fabian Coulthard's car, just hearing the call in the background from the Spy radios. Now Whincup closing in on Winterbottom, who's on cold tyres, trying to come up to speed. Whincup's had a lap to build some temperature and some pressure. So now's his time to maybe pounce on car number 5, put some pressure on and see if he can leapfrog. Van Gisbergen out in front. Fastest lap of the race last time around, 1:29.33. 3 seconds the margin to Bright. Davison next on the road from Garth Tander, and Rick Kelly. Half the field has virtually now made its first pit stop. And Whincup zeroing in right on the back of his great rival. They've been fighting for years in karts, in Formula Ford. Winterbottom's not been able to get on top of Whincup in the championship since they've moved into V8 Supercars and beating the 2 top teams, Triple Eight and Ford Performance Racing, but they're on now. Of course, Winterbottom crashed at that next right-hander yesterday. Jonathan Webb rejoins after pitting on the first lap. He'll be some 9 laps down and last runner. They won't be able to repeat that podium from yesterday. Pit lane's been pretty busy so far. More cars in the lane. Shane Van Gisbergen leads the way. It is lap 10 on the streets of Sydney. 64 to go.
Now, doesn't this look interesting? Mark Winterbottom, car number 5, the Pepsi Max Ford FPR crew, out in front of Jamie Whincup, who's in front of Craig Lowndes. So Winterbottom has processed through pit lane. They're on the same strategy as the Red Bull guys, and this is the rejoin. So look at this. Championship leader comes down the front straight, Australia Avenue. Winterbottom, who was knocked out of the championship race yesterday, slides in front of him.
And remember that it takes a minute for all the temps and pressures to normalise, but what's happened here is these two are now locked in combat with 4 fresh tyres on the car. Lowndes took 2 rears only, so he's going to hang in there, but up the inside at 8, and Frosty made space, saw him coming, gave him space. Chris Cross is on. Watch for Frosty to come back down the inside. He's got a good corner exit run. He's up alongside, or is he? No. It's a little wipe across the back. He switches line again. Real intensity very early in the race, and Whincup makes it stick.
That's big risk. Whincup could have been put out then. They're bumping along that straight, along Dawn Fraser Avenue. If Whincup goes out, Lowndes wins the championship. I mean, it's a big risk.
Now watch what happens as this unfolds further, because Van Gisbergen runs the risk of being undercut by those on fresh tyres here at the moment. He's in the lead. He's got a 3.1 second margin over Jason Bruff. There's a bold move by Whincup then, and it's not easily done here at 8. Here he is again in replay from above. Frosty sees him coming in the mirror, tries the crisscross. He nearly got away with it, but not quite. Here's the other view from onboard Jamie. That's decisive. Uses a bit of curb, picks the throttle up. Gets away with it, didn't understeer wide, and that's what the corner exit was just good enough to protect him, and right there was the decisive moment.
That's the cheeky part, because really he should have given him room to race then. Jamie moved him over. We're on board, he moved him over. Now watch this. That's the bit that's wrong. If there's an overlap, that little bump, he cannot do that.
And he could have been turned around in the process.
That's what I'm saying. If he gets turned around on that straight, you're out, gone. So he'd be battling not to be in strife for that, because that is an absolute directive that once you're in a straight line, if there's any overlap, you can't keep on moving over.
Yeah, good points, Gayfield. Fair bit of that going on. Hey, I just wanted to dive back in here and have a look at the strategy from yesterday, because you can see it playing out yet again. Here's our race lap, 74. Remember we said the critical lap number was 38, because you can get 36 laps on a tank. Count back from the end, 38 laps. Now what's happening? When the pit window opened, here's our race laps, here's our fuel. At lap 6, you get into what I call that safety car danger zone. We know we get 3.5 safety cars on average at this circuit. So you can't end up double stacking here. If there is a safety car here, anywhere here, the whole field will come in. So those guys have chosen to do this, come in on their own merit, top them up with fuel, and that'll get them through to there around 38. They'll be able to top up and go home. So this is smart strategy. You don't want to come down the pit lane with your field, or more importantly, your teammate, anywhere in there. Good work. And the other thing they've done is given themselves what we call clear air. And look at the lap times they're punching out.
Gee, Larko, it's been a tough year for the Holden Racing team. You'd hate to think what they've spent on parts this year. Nick Percat's been driving James Courtney's car. A brand new car, but power steering problem, Nick.
Yeah, we've obviously got a good start, and I was quite comfortable there behind Lownsy, thinking, oh, this has gone all quite good. So just turned into turn 8, and it just went unexpectedly. So managed to keep it off the wall at 8, and then just brought it in, because it's a street track. We're using the curbs. It's not worth the risk trying to muscle around this car without any power steering. So it's a shame for the boys. They worked hard, and I think we would have been quite comfortably in the 10 today, but it wasn't to be, and just roll on next year, I guess. Yeah,
the good news is we look forward to seeing you full-time next year, Nick. Thanks, mate.
Cool, thank you.
Just to come back to that point about pace here, as we look at Garth Tander on screen, Holden Racing Team, and his teammate on screen also, Nick Percat. Whincup's just done the fastest lap of the race in 11th, a 1:29.0, compares with Van Gisbergen, and Van Gisbergen's last lap was about 0.7 of a second slower. On the previous lap, Shane was about half a second slower. So again, I make the point, watch for the undercut. Those that are buried in the field, that have taken their stop, that have got fresh tyres on, are actually making some net gain on the leaders at the moment. And then depending on when people like Van Gisbergen and Bright take their stop, that could manifest itself in a positional shift. So watch for that.
Jamie Whincup's just done another fastest lap of the race. So while you were talking, Crompo, he backed it up with a 1:29.04. Remember, that's what he did yesterday when he had the clear track space. He made it stick, used the advantage, and went back to back to back and just pulled away clear on the timesheets. Watch this, Will Davison. These curbs down here at turns 2, 3, and 4 are so tough on the cars. When you come down on those, you come down hard and heavy. Shane Van Gisbergen, our race leader.
And that slow-mo replay correlates with Will Davison on the radio about 30 seconds ago, saying that he could feel something in the rear of the car. Wouldn't mind betting that was what it was to do with his pace. He's not too bad. He's 3 or 4 tenths down, though, on Van Gisbergen and Bright, who run up in front. And that is the team at the Pepsi Max Crew FPR. Whincup, new fastest lap of the race, 1:29.04. He sits in 10th at his best of the cars that's been in the lane. Here's the leader, Shane Van Gisbergen, pressing on. Won the Clipsal 500 to start the season, trying to win at the Sydney 500 to round out. 2013, his first year on board the Holden. He's been busy this year. He's been running a Ford in the New Zealand V8 Super Tours. He's been doing drifting. For a guy who was not going to do any racing, or so it seemed this time 12 months ago, he's done a lot of racing for this season. There's his margin. It's back to Jason Bright. It's 3.3 seconds. And we're hearing a bent rear arm on car number 6, and that would exactly tie in with the replay we saw in the radio communication that I heard about a minute and a half ago now. And Will Davison didn't have much pace yesterday, but he did manage to come home in 5th after having some issues with that car as well. Prema has just punched out the fastest first sector, but it looks like he's actually done it by cutting through the chicane a according to the timing screen. So top 9 cars yet to make a trip to pit lane. This is the first car that has made a stop. Jamie Whincup is in position 10. Car in front is Jonathan Webb, who's rejoined some 8 laps down after that drama on lap 1. Russell Ingall in the lane. This time around in the Super Cheap Auto Commodore. Of course, he's replaced by Tim Slade next season. As we follow Whincup around. Here is Ingall. Composite pit crew. They share a pit boom with Tony D'Alberto's Highflex team, and D'Alberto runs a Walkinshaw built Commodore, but it is not run by Walkinshaw Racing. We should point out it's run by Tony's own team, but it looks like D'Alberto's squad will close up at the end of the season. His plans for 2014 very much up in the air. But we're 14 laps down. There's 60 to complete. There's still a long way to go in this 250-kilometre race, but Shane Van Gisbergen, the pole man, has serious pace on board this 97 Techno Commodore. He leads the way. He's got control of the streets of Sydney.
Throughout the course of the year, our Mega Wall has made sure you do not miss a thing, and make sure you keep watching 7 Sport right across the summer as we go through our summer of tennis in particular. The Mega Wall will come in play as we head to the big one, the Australian Open. Can't wait for it at Melbourne Park.
So Shane Van Gisbergen, the leader at the moment. Last lap for him, 1 minute 29.7. He's losing margin at the rate of about 0.7 of a second a lap to Jamie Whincup, who's 9th on the road, but he's done his stop and he's 39 seconds behind. Now it takes about 30-odd seconds to get through the lane, plus the fuel. And if he's going to get himself to the Mark Larkham magic get-home point of about lap 38, he needs around about 70 to 75 litres of fuel, which is about 22 seconds. So 30 plus 22, 52. Double check my abacus. And he's only 39 seconds behind Jamie Whincup. Jamie Whincup is going to pass Shane Van Gisbergen on current numbers. And of course, if they fully fill Shane, which they don't have to, then he's going to be even further buried.
But I'd take my poison, I'd actually fill it and make the next stop, hopefully on a safety car, as short as it can be.
And that way you don't have to bring the fuel level up as much in the next stop. And of course there will be, we talked about this yesterday, based on history, there will be a safety car.
Any buttons left on that calculator of yours? You've given it a workout this season.
Has been getting a bit of, it might get a new one for next year.
Really?
Go digital instead of analog.
Office works.
Have to be bigger as his eyes get worse. So that's the battle pack of Blanchard, Coulthard, Wall and Pye. All had their differing stories in 2013. Fabian Coulthard has had a good run this year with victories. David Wall's been very consistent. We've seen in the highlights reel Scott Pye, but we all know that he's got a very big future. He's on the move to DJR next year. So it's been good to see these 4 guys in particular have a good run and have something to remember season 2013 by.
0.4 to 0.5 of a second better than for Whincup and Winterbottom and Lowndes, for that matter, over Shane Van Gisbergen and Jason Bright. So in round terms, half-second gain for those guys. So a real interesting game of chess here, because the joker in the pack then becomes the safety car or safety cars, plural, that may appear later in the day. Lee Holdsworth, Irwin Tools, Erebus Motorsport V8 entry. Tough day yesterday with some damage. One of the guys that's done very, very well here at this location, had a race win. It's good to see his teammate Tim Slade have a strong run yesterday. At the moment, Lee's 24th in this field. He's just in behind Scott Pye, who started from the pit lane, and Tony D'Alberto, if you recall, was found in the wall at the end of the first turn on lap 1 in all the push and shove that went on down there that ultimately also hurt Jonathan Webb. 29.9 on the last lap for Shane Van Gisbergen, and 2.7 seconds the gap to Jason Bright. Todd Kelly's come to the pit lane now, the Jack Daniels Nissan Altima. There's the margin, bottom left of screen between Shane and Bright. And this is Will Davison. He's on the move to Erebus next year. We think, though, that's not been confirmed. What has been confirmed is that he will be leaving Pepsi Max Performance Racing.
I've never seen that sign. That was immediate yesterday.
It's one of his mechanics who's left a little
Stevie was here.
bit of graffiti.
Tim Edwards might be able to send him an invoice for that. Normally you can send invoices when you put signs on cars.
I love this shot. It really demonstrates the workload. The gear lever action, the steering inputs, the amount of footwork that's required. Such a physical circuit. No time for a rest. It's certainly the most difficult in terms of the number of events that we go to and how much effort is required. Stevie's his #1 mechanic. I don't know whether he'll keep that title if he keeps on putting his own stickers on.
Did you see that graphic that went up there a moment ago with the tapering speed as well? So a little bit of that fresh tyre gain that you get when you first come out of the pit starts to settle back to the other pace of those that are leading. So some of the gain is now evaporated.
So remember, Russell started from 24th. He's currently moved up to 18th. Good run in the opening laps. What do you think, boys? Can he make top 10 by the end of the day? He's got good form this year on street circuits. He started the season well, remember, at Adelaide, where he finished 10th and 4th in the 2 races. The Gold Coast street circuit, which is probably the most similar to this one, he was on the podium. 5th and a 3rd for the weekend, so can the Enforcer do it? Can he go top 10 in his last V8 race?
I reckon he can.
You reckon he can?
Well,
you got a bit more fence sitting.
No, because I don't think this is his last V8 race. So we might be able to keep this vote open until about this time next year.
Okay, Mr. Pedantic. What about if we made it his last V8 race of the season?
Can he make the top 10? That's the thing.
Are you from gaming and lotteries?
Yes or no?
He can. He's a good street racer. That's what you want to hear.
I'm about to be from World Wrestling Federation if you don't answer the question.
Bryce Seals, Matty Crawford, all of the gang at Super Cheap Auto Racing from Walkinshaw Racing. There's a lot of experience in there. Matt Crawford in the middle used to work with Mark Scape, and look at the amount of grey hair he's got.
Hey, Matty, I'd love to get the viewer vote. Guess the Russell Ingall age. I said we did Formula 4 together way back then. I reckon he was about 48 back then, and that was 87. So his career's probably half over.
Anyway, go to v8supercars.com.au and follow the links to have your say, or use our 7 Sport app. The power of positive thinking, the power of social media. Maybe we can propel Russell Ingall further up the field. It would be a great way for him to finish. I remember, Scafey, your last race full-time at Oran Park, and you were fighting to the death to get inside that top 10.
One point I would make in all seriousness is when you get on the podium at a street circuit like the Gold Coast, you're not a mug. So he drove brilliantly to be able to achieve that, and that's something that there are a lot of drivers out there in this country that, first of all, would like to be in the 28 that drive a V8 supercar, and of those 28, there's a lot of them who'd love to be on the podium. To achieve that means you're not a wasted force in the business, and so I think that'll be weighing pretty heavily on his mind at the moment.
And he did that from 18th. The day before, he finished 5th, starting 15th.
Hands up who wants to grow up and be a shock absorber, because the front right-hand corner at Jason Bright's car then took a massive crunch, and then again, look at that. Oh.
You don't all of a sudden just forget how to drive. And what Neil's point about the Gold Coast is a lot of panel work drama on the back of Prema's car there.
It's a little bit of the diffuser, a little bit of the apron that goes beneath where the fuel cell was in these cars in yesteryear, and now just sort of part of the rear bumper assembly tidies up the aero under the back of the car. He's obviously had a whack, and that's dislodged that. Race control will be looking carefully at that. They don't want that to come adrift. It may just fall off, but if it doesn't, unfortunately, they'll probably have to bring him in and resolve it.
Frank Adamson, the category technical manager, is on the wall, and he'll be looking at that as the car comes by.
What? We're alive?
I don't believe you. You know I don't speak Spanish.
Oh, Ron. Ron. Yeah, mechanical flag for car 34.
You ate a whole wheel of cheese?
See, he won't answer a very straightforward question like, will Russell Ingall finish 10? But get him on Ron Burgundy. Never shuts up. There is a race going on, boys, and Shane Van Gisbergen leads Jason Bright by 2.5 seconds. What's happening in the championship fight? Jamie Whincup is 8th. Craig Lowndes is 10th. Sandwich in between them is Mark Winterbottom. Van Gisbergen in.
This is really important.
Okay, mate, we got you in pit lane. You'll have a clear entry and exit. So make sure you pull up nice and easy on the mark. Leave the car in neutral. 4 tyres, we'll take the fuel.
He's done a ripper job this weekend for pace. He and Blake Smith, his engineer, VIP Pet Foods Commodore. How much fuel do they stick in? Where's he going to drop back in? 200 V8 supercar race. We thought he was leaving the business this time last year.
Everyone's got you out. Scotchy, pull out. Mate, when you go, you'll be clear.
Remember they had that same issue yesterday.
A lot of fuel, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's Whincup. That's Winterbottom.
We're all good. Lowndes is going to come over here. Watch him down into 1. And we're racing Scotty. Watch out for Scotty. He's our target there.
He went close to that yellow line there, and he might hang on here. No, he won't. Scotty's got him.
And the temptation is there.
Oh, Scotty's in! Scotty's in! Oh, that was so close. Scott braked deep to be able to get by Shane and then couldn't pull it up. He had the wheels locked. He was right out and out of control and did a fantastic job to miss the fence. Wow.
I bet he was pumping that brake pedal in.
There's his own ABS going.
So Bright, Davison, Tander, Reynolds, Moffat and Fiore all yet to pit. Still more than 50 laps to go, though. The final race at 2013. The V8 Supercars on 7.
Great shot of ANZ Stadium, of course. The venue of the opening and closing ceremonies from the 2000 Olympics, and these days used for rugby league, for concerts, for 2020 cricket, for Australian rules football. And now Van Gisbergen on the move. He gets the spot back on his fellow Kiwi. So our viewers on Sky Sports in New Zealand will like what they see here. The Kiwis are running up near the front. There's Craig Lowndes. Jason Bright still leads the way, so there's still a handful of cars yet to make a pit stop. There's 5, in fact, yet to pit. James Moffat's in now in the Norton 360 Nissan, but Jason Bright leads 8 seconds back to Will Davison. Tander Reynolds next, then Whincup 5th on the road. Best of the cars that have stopped and looking very, very strong again. He's certainly exercising his Sydney Olympic Park demons. He's clinched championships here before, but has never been on the podium until yesterday, and one heck of a podium because he won the race. On board with Scott McLaughlin. What a stunning year for this young guy. Coming into this race, he's 12th in the points. He was tied with Jonathan Webb. He'll move past Webb because Webb is 8 laps down in the pack. James Courtney, 10th in the championship. He's in the garage watching on, not driving this weekend, so McLaughlin is on target to finish top 10 in the championship. It would be the best effort from a reigning Dunlop Series champion, his first year in the main championship and even beyond his expectations. Will Davison's in from 2nd at the moment. He's gone a bit longer into this stint, so he's done 23 laps. His lap times were dropping away, so he'll come out further back in the pack. The guys who pitted earlier will leapfrog. There goes Reynolds.
Be kind to your nuts, boys. Plenty of time. Kind to your nuts. Right-hand mirror.
Past the podium area. Davison's in, 4 tyres. Dunlop hard tyre used exclusively this weekend.
Happy with the mirror. Tibbet.
Just the mirror. Wait for the fuel.
Okay. Clear to go when it drops. Clear to go when it drops. Clear exit. Go.
You're watching the Sydney NRMA Motoring and Services 500 on 7. On lap 24 out of 74, Shane Van Gisbergen on the previous lap has just posted the fastest time. So Will Davison has now completed his first stop and rejoins the race as we continue to track the fortunes of the Enforcer. Where is he now? Position 16.
Some irony in this because Tim Slade will be driving the super cheap car next year. Russell will be making a little point here.
A little point. Keep having a say, folks. Let us know what you reckon.
Van Gisbergen fastest lap, 1 minute 29.0 on those fresh tyres.
Here he comes around Lowndes easily. Down to turn 9.
Remember, Lowndes only put 2 tyres on the rear when he stopped.
So just even to the second sector on this lap, Shane was 1.1 seconds quicker than Craig on this lap. So by the time he finishes, including a passing move, that's going to be a fair margin of speed. This is Dean Fiore, Dodo Car Insurance entry, Lucas Dumbrell Racing.
Top 10 at the moment, yep, Pitt. He's 6th.
This is also a 888 Race Engineering built and designed car. Everyone's wondering where Dean may or may not land in 2014. We understand he's on the move. I don't think he'll be staying at Lucas Dumbrell's team. So the fast Western Australian here in turn 2. We'll watch him for this lap. Sequential 6-speed gearbox.
And through turns 2, 3 and 4 back there, Crompo, was a view that we haven't got to see a lot of lately because we've been focusing on what happens to the car. We saw the jolt to the driver as well. They're nestled in, obviously, to their seats, so snug and compact, but it's still enough to send him hard to the right, hard to the left, and hard to the right again.
Little left foot brake there to pump the pedal up.
Tander's in from position 2, Holden Racing team. That leaves Jason Bright comfortably in the lead at the moment over David Reynolds, and it's 19.5 seconds from Jason to David. It's a really graphic indication of just how busy the place is. So a little breather between shifts for Dean, just a quick chance to have a drink. Here comes Tander. Battled yesterday with issues trying to stop the car. Some weirdness in the front suspension. Remember, it took a big hit in qualifying.
Gar has 2 race wins next to his name in 2013, but for the first time since back in 2004, he's gone through an entire season without a pole position. It's very un-Garth-like.
Jason Bright looking good out in the lead of the race. The big question for Brad Jones is when to bring him in, Brad.
I didn't hear anything you said, but I guess you're asking me how bright he's going out there. Look, I think he's pretty fast. He's probably about 3rd fastest on the track at the moment, and really we want to try and not drop him back into where he's going to get caught up in a bit of traffic. So we're trying to get a bit of fuel in hand over Shane. So if we can get another 4 laps or so, this strategy won't be that different, but hopefully it'll be enough that if we come out close to him, we can jump him in the last series of stops. So still a bit to sort out yet, but his times are still pretty speedy. We'll just wait and see what happens.
And Brad, he's got enough fuel to do a few more laps?
Yeah, well, he's got enough fuel to go to probably 35 or something, but I think, he'll start to drop off before we get to that. So 30 is sort of where we're targeting, but we'll see what happens. Good luck. Okay, thanks.
Hey, Rich, just if I can grab our camera guy and come and have a look at this. Is very good preparation by Brad Jones Racing. Get out of my way, Beretta. We're going to have a look at some mechanical bits, pal. You recall a couple of years ago all the drama with putting suspension on the cars right here in this pit lane for a championship? Well, these guys have come very well equipped. So there's a whole rear suspension layout, top and bottom arm. There's your drive shaft. There's what we often in the commentary team refer to as the upright. There's the front upright, which is the part in there. Your wheel bolts onto that. That is class act preparation. Well done, Brad Jones Racing.
You could pick up, Marco. That's exactly right. That is very well done, and this is the sort of place where you could actually put a complete corner in the car, because we know how hard it is on the cars, and we've seen some of the vision over the weekend of that.
It's interesting listening to Brad's answer there in that interview a moment ago, because I think their focus is on Van Gisbergen, not Whincup. So I'm just looking at the speed difference between Jamie and Jason at the moment, Whincup and Bright. And Whincup's obviously been blazing along now for a while on these other tyres, but he's making plenty of ground over Jason Bright. So I think the eyes of Team BOC are squarely on the number 97 car at the moment, so we'll keep an eye on that. He's on board the Jack Daniels Racing Nissan Altima. Rick Kelly, and I did a little event with him this morning, and he was talking about just how important this race is, even though it seems like a long way away. for preparation for the beginning of next year's championship season, Clipsal 500, with a new format on Saturdays, 2 125k races. David Reynolds in from second place. He was 19-odd seconds, 20-odd seconds down on Jason Bright. Tear off away from the windscreen. Wheels and tyres, and they're just dropping fuel in that now. Here comes Russell again now, the inside of Mostert, and applying pressure to the back of the Jack Daniels car.
That's 13. That's position 13 now, Crumpo, for Russell Ingall. That manoeuvre has put him right up in behind Rick Kelly. On board now with Mostert.
His point-to-point racing is very good, Russell Ingall. We've commented on this through the course of the season. He gives away nothing in the race. He certainly gives some of them a head start in qualifying, which he kicks himself about. But he's tenacious in the race. He just latches on. He'd be one of those blokes that you look up in the mirror and say, oh, go away.
That's right. He just stays there, doesn't he? He's very, very tenacious. But I said before, I didn't really finish it off, that he's driving. You don't just forget how to drive. And this year, the car hasn't been good enough for him. The drive at the Gold Coast was certainly the best drive of the year for him. And he shows around these sorts of places when he gets his head down and he presses on, just like he has in this race. He started way back. He started 24th. So to be up in 13th, now 12th as Bright comes in.
And overshoots slightly. See how he just went further forward than ideally they wanted. It's probably about half a metre. And they had to reset the fuel for that. The refueler had to shuffle to the left. So there goes Jamie. So he comfortably grabs the lead now. It was a 30-second margin.
Neil, just on that, where Brighty is the BOC garage, they're right on the summit of the curb, if you like. So as he tries to pull up there, he's down the peak of the downhill slope. It's a really hard spot to try and pull up the car.
Sure is, Brett. And out he goes now to BOC Commodore.
Put him 7th.
7th it is, ahead of Will Davison. Dean Fiore in pit lane, so the field will be cleansed. No sign of a safety car yet. By this stage yesterday, we'd already had 2. Back in just a minute.
Dean Fiore taking the first stop for the Dodo Insurance Commodore from Lucas Dumbrell Motorsport. So Whincup now leads the race. Winterbottom second on the road. Van Gisbergen, then this man Lowndes. McLaughlin, Caruso next on screen in the Norton Hornet Nissan. Announced today that he's re-signed with the factory Nissan squad for next year. Bright next, Will Davison, Alex Davison, Rick Kelly. That's the top 10 as they run. 28 laps in the books in this 74-lap 250k race. And at the moment, Lowndes is 4th. He needs to be in the top 5 if Whincup doesn't finish to be able to overhaul him. It's not simply a case of just finishing if Whincup doesn't. He needs to press on, he needs to stay up front. McLaughlin this time last year was the Dunlop Series champ, a week after having clinched the New Zealand V8 Super Tourer title. And he and James Moffat teamed up last weekend at Pukekohe and had a race win in the final round of that series. Final race for the Fujitsu team. Final race for Fujitsu as sponsors of Gary Rogers' team, in fact, too. Been together for the last couple of years. Of course, they become Volvo next year. Jonathan Webb back in. It's been a bad day. He's 27th, 8 laps down, and it was a nice return to form yet because he's had a really ordinary last 6 or 7 events where he's been in the 20s in qualifying more than anywhere else. But this is just a case of testing, questions over his future. Looks like they might be down to 1 car, but they're certainly down to 1 racing entitlements contract. One of the ones they were leasing from Paul Morris's team has been sold to Nick Johnson Racing, so potential for this team to be 1 car next year. We might see Webby as an enduro driver only, but we'll see what happens over summer. Lots to unfold. There's Nick Percat going by. He's last. He's 28th, 11 laps down after that steering issue in the 22 car. So there's 26 cars on the lead lap. The last of them is Alex Premer in the second Fujitsu car. Remember, he had to come in with that mechanical black flag and sort out that loose rear bodywork. Whincup leads on the road, 4.2 seconds the margin back to Mark Winterbottom, who took a couple of tenths away that time. Van Gisbergen's 3rd on the road, looking solid. This is 4th and 5th. Lowndes and McLaughlin, 30 down, 44 to go. Final race of the championship on the streets of Sydney Olympic Park.
quite a sight here at Sydney Olympic Park. It's such a unique venue, and it's become the perfect backdrop for our season finale since 2009. So we've just passed the 30-lap mark. Why don't we take you right back to the beginning with Shane van Gisbergen starting on pole and Jason Bright trying to chase him down here to turn 1. But we're looking at the battle of Lowndes, of Winterbottom, of Whincup. And then the 2 HRT cars squeezed into Jono Webb, who squeezed into Tony D'Alberto, who found the tyre wall. Lowndes was going at it with Scott McLaughlin in the opening laps. He couldn't get past him. Scotty held his nerve and held off the 3-time champ. So after the first round of pit stops, it was pretty level pegging.
And this was pretty wild because we saw the contact yesterday with Coulthard and Van Gisbergen up there, and Whincup moves him over. So they did the crisscross. He ran down the inside. Winterbottom was there. This is on board now with Winterbottom. Whincup up the inside. High risk pass, and then the shift over. Watch this. Right up. Honestly, that is game-changing stuff. That's over 200 kilometres an hour. Making contact in a straight line, for sure, that puts you out if you get spun. You're out and over and out.
Van Gisbergen came out with fresh tyres and pace to burn. He didn't mess around using it either. So Jamie Whincup leads the race, and here is the safety car.
All right, I'm hopping out.
After 32 laps, safety car will be deployed. James Moffat parked on the side of the circuit.
And they can't get a home from here, Matt. You're not at your critical lap number now. There might be a couple of punters who don't know how long the safety car is going to be out for.
That was going to be my next comment, that, gee, how do you gamble on this one?
That's what it is. It's a gamble now. So Whincup leads from Winterbottom from Van Gisbergen. Craig Lowndes is 4th. So that's down at the end of Olympic Boulevard. So Moffat has come through those back chicanes. Turns 2, 3 and 4, and the marks that he's left behind suggest that it ended pretty ugly.
Yeah, you boys are right onto it. I'm just having an observation who's pulling out tyres here. A lot of conjecture. And in fact, Red Bull have now just made the decision. They debated and hang on, they've swapped tyres. They're bringing out Lowndes tyres at the moment. But gee whiz, you've got to look at the incident, work out how long this is going to take, and you've got to factor in, could there be another safety car? Can I fill it up with fuel now and maybe make it home?
Yeah, it's a good point, Larko. I reckon they'll fill it, which means that the next stop is only a real splash and dash.
And that's if they have to do it. So you might get away with it if there's enough safety car for long enough. There could be another one. So they're gambling.
It's been some great drives so far, guys.
Right rear was sticky then.
Thank you, thank you.
Got the right tyre and the right car.
Wheels are done, just running on fuel. Got car 3 garages away. Okay, we're all clear now. We're all clear.
So McLaughlin got by easily then. This is a slow stop.
Got a car approaching. Good to
It
go.
looked like
All clear.
they had a car 1 tyre going on that car. Had to shift it over.
Yeah.
Oh, safety car's got him.
And waved
Right by. So Lowndes come in from there in 4th position. McLaughlin's jumped him in this stage, so he gained 5 spots. Caruso, great job again.
Oh, this is interesting. They're doing one.
Both. Yeah. Yeah, this is the right thing to do. Russell Ingall, 13 positions he's gained today. Dean Fiore, fantastic job, 11 positions, and Todd Kelly, 9.
Got these boys set up here and behind us as well, so it's going to be a bit tight, but we've moved down a bit for it. Make sure we've got the right tyres, boys, right tyres. Nice and steady for us, J-Dub. Got you for 4 tyres.
So the right rear was sticky for Lowndes, and he got held up briefly by the safety car. That's going to hurt a little bit in all this when it shakes out.
Watch Brody. Watch the rest of the motor. Brody going to pull in. Yeah, he's gone.
We just heard that James Moffat is out with gearbox troubles, so that's a mechanical failure. James out, so crack a year, had his first win.
So, I mean, history suggests that we'll get another safety car intervention, which will let them off the hook here. But even if you've got to come in and put some fuel in there, it'll just be a squirt to get home.
So let's remember what's at play in terms of the championship. For Craig Lowndes, he has to ensure that he finishes top 5.
Yep.
That's what he needs to do. For Jamie Whincup, he basically just has to finish, but he'll want more than that. They both want to win. Moffat sidelined.
That pit stop cycle, you will have noticed in the background, Jason Bright came in. BOC Commodore was only in some 4 or 5 laps ago, so they've decided to switch it up at Brad Jones Racing and Team BOC, so he's now running on the same scenario as Whincup and Winterbottom. Murrow Engel, SP Tours Mercedes, his final drive with that team today. He's had a very tough debut year in the number 9 Merc, trying to just finish it off with a strong run home. Last car on the lead lap and filling up on fuel. So Van Gisbergen is the leader. Will Davison next. Rick and Todd Kelly 3rd and 4th. Then David Reynolds. All of those cars have done 1 stop. Whincup 6th. Just the first to do 2. But can he make it home from there? Same is the question for Winterbottom, Bright. McLaughlin you can see there. Michael Caruso next. Then Lowndes, who's dropped a spot or 2. Tander, Alex Davison, Prema, Ingle, Mostert, Slade, Blanchard, Holdsworth, Pye, Coulthard, Fiore, D'Alberto and Engel. 24 on the lead lap. David Wall 1 lap down. Moffat out. Webb and Percat miles behind. So now we've got 2 distinct strategies. Van Gisbergen, Will Davison and the 2 Kelly boys in the Jack Daniels Nissans. Seeing how far they can get and pushing on. The others have decided to come in, fill it up and see if they can make it home from here. The top 5 have to pit again at some stage. Which gives them a bit more flexibility as to when that may be, but safety cars, who knows? It's very tough to predict. So at least now we've got everyone not on the same strategy. We've got a couple going against the grain. That makes it interesting. That makes it spicy. We've now had a safety car in every race ever at the Sydney 500. This is the 10th race at this venue. Van Gisbergen still leads.
So that safety car streak continues here at Sydney Olympic Park. 100% strike rate. Not out. And that's the reason why James Moffat car now being removed from the circuit.
So here's an interesting question, Matt. They're just starting their 35th lap. And Mark Larkham's whiteboard description early on, 74-lap race. And you can do 36 laps.
38 is a critical lap number.
38 is the critical lap. So can you get these things to struggle to the end on this fuel load? That's a big question. And there may be more safety car intervention, but for those who did come in then, when they do have to come back in, if they have to, they're only going to put a little bit of fuel in to get them back home. So this is setting up an interesting battle because Van Gisbergen's guys, Blake Smith and all of his technical crew in there, and I think you can include Will Davison and both the Kelly brothers in this, Rick and Todd, they're going about this in a different way. So let's see how that plays out later.
Yeah, and it's fascinating, isn't it, Neil? Because we know the average safety car intervention here is 3.5 per race. So good chance we'll get another one, which will save some of these guys. But usually in that circumstance, I was surprised with Van Gisbergen there, you want to cover off your competition. So whilst he's at the head of the pack now, behind a safety car, Whincup's lurking not far behind him with more fuel in the car. But having said all of that, I was standing here watching Red Bull, and they were the last guys to make the decision to drag them in. Everyone said, no, let's put them in. So it just goes to show, for me, how fine a decision that was, how difficult it was to make.
Yeah, because it's all to play for these guys. Into 2010, Shane Van Gisbergen ran out of fuel. The final turn, just coughed and spluttered across the line.
That amazing vision of Courtney, remember? He had to flick to, he was winning, it was for the championship, and he had to flick to the left to miss him as he crossed the line.
Car number 88, Dean Fiore, is under investigation also for passing under the yellow flags, which is a no-no, so race control looking into that one. There's the confirmation on screen. So it's Van Gisbergen, Will Davison, Rick Kelly, Todd Kelly, David Reynolds. They've all done one stop, and then leading the queue of those that have done two stop, Jamie Whincup. And I can't see those guys pulling enough margin at the moment to get away with this, but I've got the crystal ball shined up. Don't know what's going to happen in the future, except history suggests that the safety car's never far away.
I can't see. I would have for Van Gisbergen. Covered Whincup with this in terms of strategy. I think this will hurt him.
So the top 5 did not come in. Van Gisbergen, Will Davison, Rick and Todd Kelly and David Reynolds. 6th is Jamie Whincup. 7th, Mark Winterbottom. Then Jason Bright, Scott McLaughlin, Michael Caruso round out our top 10. Car 22 back out there, so Nick Percat. Craig Lowndes is 11th. Garth Tander is 12th. Then Alex Davison, Alex Premer. Russell Ingall is in 15th. Barrett's.
Matty, the end of the first year in V8 Supercar racing for Erebus Motorsport, and I'm with Betty Clemenco. Betty, highs and lows, we've seen them. I mean, you had a top 4 finish at Sandown. There have been some great highs along the way, a few top 10 finishes as well. How do you evaluate the year?
You know what? I've had a wonderful time. And today I actually said to my husband when we woke up, today's a day I take my nappies off and put on my big boy pants for next year. And, you know, it has been the highest of highs, lowest of lows, but it's been absolutely fantastic. Fans are fantastic. Officials are fantastic. The crews are just, they've learnt the Erebus way now.
You must be so impressed with the way the fans have flocked to the team, and, you know, the drivers have been accepted in the cars, and you've become a megastar on the circuit too. Everywhere you go, people want to have a chat to you.
I think it's just the fact that I go out there and I need them just as much as they need me. And I love to talk to people. So between my husband and I think we've chatted to every single fan of V8.
You've been a great addition this year, Betty. We'll see you next year. Thanks a lot.
Yes, you will. Bye.
Yep, big impact on the sport. Betty Clemenco, boss of Erebus Motorsport. They'll be back next year. An amazing job just to get to the grid. Such a short turnaround time at Clipsal 500, which was taken out by the man who leads this race, Shane Van Gisbergen. So back on we go. After the first safety car of the day, Van Gisbergen heads the list.
Will Davison almost crashed then between turn 12 and 13, almost winning the fence at the restart.
David Wall is a lap down, so Will Davison second, then Rick Kelly. David Reynolds now gets past Todd Kelly, who rattles and rolls it out of turn 1 and draws up alongside the Bonnello Ford.
He's got him.
Pokes the nose ahead of the Nissan Altima and gets it back at turn 2.
Whincup's witness to all that. He's right in behind. There he is. Just looking for some clean air behind Reynolds. A little bit of the binder in the surface in the final corner. Just looks like it's coming adrift in these very high temps as well. And the bit here, they're pretty brutal, these cars on the track. It's where there's peak load, where the cars get tipped up on the curb.
Well, Wall.
It's going to be safety car.
Where is he?
Got it going.
Get out of it.
It's up at turn 8. So he did a good job to get it going again. Might have been helped down the escape road on that one.
Van Gisbergen's put a good margin on Davison in this lap. It's 2.5 seconds.
It was a big moment for Frosty. Locked the wheel at turn 11. Battled to make it turn to the right and then was way wide. Makes the next left so tight for him. This is this great run down Australia Avenue. 250 kilometres an hour.
Pit lane drive-through penalty, Dean Fiore. Remember we said it was under investigation. It's an awesome shot, isn't it? Todd Kelly's talking about not being able to stop car number 7 effectively. Says it's got no brakes, which is usually driver code for they're not as good as they might otherwise be. They're still pretty good, but it's not quite no brakes.
Tucks in behind David Reynolds.
The danger, Matt, with this is if Todd does have a problem, that Jamie Whincup is right behind. Could easily be part of an accident or a potential issue there if Todd is having brake trouble.
Two-time MotoGP world champ Casey Stoner had his debut year in the Dunlop Series this year, as Jamie Whincup now goes on the inside of Reynolds at 9. So the year started well for Whincup. Consistently, he was on the podium in 3 out of the first 5 races at the first 2 events. He scored his first win in Pukekohe, 2 more in Barbagallo, 3 out of 4 in Austin, Texas. He was really on a roll in the mid-season. Another victory at Darwin, another victory at Queensland Raceway. It went pear-shaped at Winton, but he got it back at Sandown, on the podium at Bathurst. Tough one at Gold Coast.
Roland Dane about halfway into the race, so good strategy option there, mate, but it was obviously a tough decision to drag him in and put the fuel in. I think it was the right one, but obviously a hard one. I saw a lot of conjecture.
No, it's not hard when
you wouldn't agree.
You shorten up the stop like that. It's I'm surprised Gisbergen didn't either. He would still be in the lead, so it's not a hard decision. It's a normal one.
Right, thanks for agreeing.
Well, Gartander had to negotiate his way through the tyre bundles down there at the back chicane. He's had some fun with Roland Dane this year, hasn't he, Larko? It'll be interesting to see.
Or the other way round.
Or the other way round.
I think he just does it to him on purpose, doesn't he? It's great.
Of course he does. Adrian Burgess, of course, coming back in 2014. But in different colours.
3-second gap now, Van Gisbergen, Will Davison. Critical gap between Van Gisbergen and Whincup is just under 6 seconds. He's got his hands full there in that little battle group at the moment.
Sort of the group you don't want to be in.
He's just cleared his way past Todd Kelly.
I reckon there's 27 cars in that group. You need to be in the lead.
That's pretty right.
So in comes Will Davison for his second stop.
Just puts them out.
Puts him at the tail of the field. Remember,
them out.
Came into this race with a 12-point gap between he and Frosty in the battle for third in the championship.
Just make the stop under green.
Did they drop that then when it was refueling?
Yep.
If they did, that'll be a penalty.
Go. They did.
Let's have a look. I think Will knows he's head down.
This is
there
cruel.
That's a penalty. When you're refueling, the car's got to be on its jacks. So he'll be back in to say hello to the crew.
It's a cruel policy because the strategy's not right, but the reality of what's going to go on now for Will Davison, his final race for FPR, they won't like that result.
Tander back in the box. Van Gisbergen in the lead of the race. Rick Kelly's 5.6 seconds behind him. Jamie Whincup is on the charge and on a relentless charge to get another championship at the halfway mark of this race.
Pit lane now becoming very busy. Winterbottom's in, Lowndes is in, Caruso's in. Michael doesn't have to go far. He's got the first pit bay with the Norton Hornets, and yeah, it's popular in the lane. Prema, Pye, Coulthard, D'Alberto. They're all rolling on in. Van Gisbergen is the leader on road. There are 4 cars that have made one stop. So they've decided to come and get this last stop they need to do now, these guys who are all pitted.
Coming by now. Okay, you're going to have to fire him behind the north. Sorry, fire him behind the north.
He's got to wait.
Good.
Lowndes has to wait for the Nissan to go by. And he rejoins, so Caruso pops in between he and Winterbottom. There's Will Davison. And that delay in his pit stop has allowed Mark Winterbottom to pop out further down the road and a few others as well. So plenty of work to do, long way to go. 34 laps remaining, 40 complete. We're on board with Craig Lowndes, who the mathematics look to be against him. The rhythm of the race looks to be against him as well. The speed of Jamie Whincup is against him, but you've got to press on. You've got to hang tough. You never know. The 3-time champ. This is as close as he's been since that heartbreaking one in 06 when he and Rick Kelly were tied on points going into the final race down at Phillip Island. Still plenty of fans who get up in arms about that one. It certainly evokes plenty of passion. McLaughlin's in this time. Alex Davison in the lane as well. Van Gisbergen leads on the track by 7 seconds from Rick Kelly. Lap 42 in the final race of the year.
Welcome back. So the mission now for car 5, car 888, is to fill up and get to the end of this race. So Pepsi Max crew bring in Mark Winterbottom. We know that they'll be seeing Will Davison again soon, and Red Bull Racing Australia bring in Craig Lowndes. And the Lockwood Commodore of Fabian Coulthard as well comes in, but awkward rejoin for Lowndes as Michael Caruso comes down. That's one of the difficult parts about being the leading team in the championship. You end up in that spot in pit lane. It's an advantage to be down there, but it just makes the rejoin difficult. Just the way it pans out. So Van Gisbergen is 7 seconds clear of this pack, which is Rick Kelly, then Jamie Whincup, then David Reynolds.
And the field hasn't really normalised properly yet, but Russell Ingall is up in 7th. As that is, there's a couple of guys that are still only on 1 stop. So Rick Kelly coming in. That puts Russell up to 6th. And there's Dave Reynolds and Van Gisbergen still to stop. And Todd Kelly for the compulsory 2 stops. So Ingall has done a very good job.
These guys have done a good job this year. We've seen them in the top 10. We saw them do very well at Winton. Developments continued. It's a big fight. The incumbents have had many, many years of understanding. And, you know, even yesterday's race, to see that Nissan Altima's in the 10, together with the Erebus Motorsport entry in the 10, that's a mighty performance.
Remember a while back we asked you the question, could Rusty finish in the top 10 in this race? 83% are backing the Enforcer to do so. Well, he's 6th at the moment, so you're right now. There's still a bit more to play out, including another stop for car 66.
It's because Julia's out the back on the laptop, crashing the V8 Supercar website at the moment. She's voted about 800,000 times. He's driving well.
And that's Chaz Mostert behind him. Jason Bright in front of him. And final full-time season. What a run. Okay, Whincup in.
Just gonna talk to these boys here, get some clearance. You come on through. Billy, we're in pit lane. We're coming through.
3rd stop, and it's just a top-up to make sure it gets home.
Looking for something pretty special here, boys. Got 4 of the best going on. I need it done lickety-split. Come on through, J-Dub. Come on through.
Like the commentary.
Perfect. No speeding of the wheel. Looking for something special. Perfect. All good, mate. All good. Just waiting on the fuel. Good to go. Rip into it, mate.
Stop. What a good stop. Just so calm and composed.
Watch the traffic on exit. Watch
We often say that the very best people, that doesn't look hectic. They look like it's in slow-mo, and that's exactly what happened.
Look who he's come out racing.
They wanted it lickety-split. And that's exactly how it turned out. But in the blink of an eye, he's, as you say, Compo, now fighting Winterbottom again.
He's got cold tyres, and he's under extreme pressure here, and he's going to try and make sure he covers Mark Winterbottom.
We locked him up there into 2, didn't he?
And Gisbergen still hasn't done his 2nd stop. He's got a 10-second margin over David Reynolds.
And it just shows you how intense this rivalry is and how you can never take a racer out of these guys. Jamie Whincup doesn't have to beat Mark Winterbottom to win the title here.
Yeah.
Yet he's intent on staying ahead of Mark Winterbottom.
That's why the move earlier was such a mad move. I mean, it's just unbelievable, the intensity through the year.
Intensity through the year. It's a very different story between car number 1, which is having a magnificent season, and car number 2, which belongs to Garth Tander GT. It's all over for today.
Yeah, as I was going up the turn 2, I just plucked 5th gear. Everything's normal, and then when it selected 5th, somehow it's gone back to 1st gear. And I don't know why it's done that, but it's buzzed the engine. So I think we're blowing a gearbox and an engine all up in one, so it's over now for the day.
It's been a tough year for you guys. You'll be looking forward to putting 2013 to bed and getting to the gala dinner tomorrow night.
Yeah, look, it's been a tough year, but there's been a lot of highlights, and there's a lot of promise there as well. So, you know, I can't thank our guys enough. They've been battling all year, and, you know, the cars have been getting better, and certainly the last 3 or 4 races, we've had a lot of work to do fixing cars, and, you know, the guys have been fantastic all the way through that. So, not the way we'd like to finish, but, you know, excited about next year. We've got a lot going on for the team, and can't wait to get started for 2014.
Garth, always great to see you, mate. Have a great break. We'll see you in Adelaide next year.
Cheers. Thanks, Bress.
James Moffat, it's been an up and down year for you in the Norton Hornet. Nissan, new into the sport, you've got yourself a win, but you've also had a lot of bad luck as well. Disappointing to finish off the season this way.
Yeah, you're right. It is very disappointing to finish off on this note. I think since we won at Winton, the year's sort of gone quite a bit downhill for us, which is not the way we want it to be. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure. Something driveline related, gearbox related. So just lost all drives. Had a bit of a problem creeping in for the last 4 or 5 laps before it finally failed. And now I've got to cheer on my little mate Caruso. So hopefully he can get up for the Norton Hornets.
Yeah, absolutely. We look forward to seeing you in 2014. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
His little mate is in 10th, Michael Caruso. 36 last stopped on lap 40, so he can get home from there. So this is genuine pace out of the Nissan Altima. Van Gisbergen and Reynolds at the front of the field. Van Gisbergen, remember, last stopped on lap 21. Reynolds 6 laps later.
Now here's the interesting thing. Van Gisbergen over Whincup, Matty, is about 45 seconds. I know I've jumped on top of you there, but this is important. Sorry, Rob. So when he comes back in, he's going to need around about 16 odd seconds of fuel, 16, 17 seconds of fuel, and it's 30 seconds through the lane. So the gap, again, I reiterate, is about 46 seconds between these guys. So this, the way this is played out, how they've individually done their thing, means that even though they're a long way apart on the racetrack at the moment, car number 97 is on its way to turn 1. Car number 1 is, well, a long, long way from it. He's coming out of turn 8 and heading to turn 9. So, when, assuming this is a normal stop for Van Gisbergen, they're going to be super close. We will be watching.
I knew exactly where you were going.
I think I did.
Car 97 and car 1 will be joined at the hip after the stop. That's where you were headed. Stick around.
Shane Van Gisbergen, winner of Clipsal 500, 8 podiums this year, 13 times in the top 5, 23 top 10s and just 2 retirements. He actually went out of the first race of the year on the streets of Adelaide and failed to finish second race at the Gold Coast when Scott Pye crashed in front of him. So he's finished 32 of 34 this year. 32, 33 of 35, get there eventually. So he leads by 9.7 seconds over David Reynolds. Jason Bright next, then Ingle, a 2-stopper. Whincup's done his 3rd. Winterbottom, Fiore's done 3, but one was a PLP. Caruso, Alex Davison, Craig Lowndes, top 10. We're looking at those guys here from the chopper shot. Mostert 11th, Will Davison 12th, Blanchard, McLaughlin, Coulthard, Pye, Slade, Holdsworth, Alberto, Prema, Todd and Rick Kelly, Engel are the 23 on the lead lap. 47 laps done. Final race of the year. It's been a long season in V8 Supercars. All of these teams building brand new cars in the off-season. Been a tough year for many of them. It's a busy racing schedule. They crisscross across the country. They've been to the United States, to New Zealand. A lot of crews and teams who deserve a holiday. They deserve some time at home with the family because they keep this thing moving. Without them, we don't have a V8 Supercars Championship. We're in the closing stages now. That's a moment down the road. Michael Caruso has made a meal of that right-hander. He's gone down the escape road. This will cost him time, and he'll need to have another go because he doesn't have the steering lock he needs to get around. So a top 10 position goes begging. He will slide outside of the top 10. Van Gisbergen leads the way for the Techno VIP team.
Welcome back as we lock in on car 36 of Michael Caruso. The reason why is he's just had a slip-up in the ad break, and he's gone tumbling down the list. He's now down in 22nd. Just a minute ago, we were talking about his top 10 hopes, and this is the reason why. Huge, huge lock-up.
Shame he was inside that 10, wasn't he, and doing a great job. Just been re-signed. New deal for him. This is Maro Engel. Bit of, can you turn the air conditioning on, please? So he must be struggling in there for whatever reason. Cool Suit may have failed.
And somebody to do that in the commentary box.
So shame there for Michael Caruso, who now drops back into 22nd in this field. Another point to make on that subject just before the break about the battle between Van Gisbergen and Whincup here is that Red Bull Racing Australia clearly know who they're racing, and whilst it'd be nice to win the race, car number 1 is trying to cover car number 888, and that's really what matters. And so the interesting thing is whether Techno can play this perfectly and get Shane home for a win. But if you're Jamie Whincup and the guys in his technical corner, you don't need to take too many risks in this process. A win would be lovely, but it's not the end game.
And that's part of the reason why Jamie Whincup came to this weekend without a win next to his name at this circuit. As we made reference before, there's been a couple of times over the last few years where he hasn't had to win the final race of the year. He's had to finish. And that's how it's panned out. So he got that win, monkey off his back yesterday regardless. And 25 laps of racing to go in season 2013. He's looking good for another title. Lowndes will not let him go. Rihanna?
Yeah, guys, something very exciting for V8 Supercars. We have teamed up with Paul Morris Performance Driving Centre as the only official V8 Supercar real experience. This is fantastic for our fans, Paul.
It's going to be real good for the fans to be able to get behind the wheel. I'm just watching the action here now. It's heating up. So, yeah, when you're on the Gold Coast, come and see us, and we'll give you a drive for sure.
We've had the car around the circuits of Sydney Olympic Park across the weekend to launch this new venture. What can we expect, and what can the fans expect from the win?
You know, it's a full-on real race car, and we've made it as realistic as we can to give people a safe but very enjoyable experience. So took Leo Sayer for a ride around the track today and blew his mind. He's done some pretty wild things on his life, so he was real excited.
Done some pretty wild things, so have you, Paul. You can head to v8supercars.com.au for all the information on this new Performance Driving Centre with Paul Morris.
Something to keep an eye on here also is changing track conditions. We've just dropped 5 degrees on track temp. It was 50 early in the race, or at the start, in fact. It's now down at 45 degrees C. So car behaviour will be changing a little bit here, and it'll be rubbering up. So there'll be a little bit of trimming going on in the cockpits of the car, and the drivers will be adjusting their thoughts to the process as well. 9.6-second lead, Van Gisbergen over David Reynolds. Those two guys have only made one stop. They've got one to go.
Our chopper pilot's going to follow us around here and give you a bird's eye view of this circuit from start to finish. So that's turn 8 along Dawn Fraser Avenue now. That's ANZ Stadium on the left. And that's where it gets really bumpy. High over the Novotel as the cars head left at turn 9 and then around the bus stop.
Sydney Olympic Park station there, the big long building, and I believe Van Gisbergen's due in. So keep an eye out for the VIP Pet Foods entry.
Side, great parklands, plenty of areas to watch, and this is the pit lane complex on our left. Australia Avenue, 250k, 6th gear, back down to what, 90 k's there for the left-hander. This is Kevin Coombs Avenue. Works its way back up to this chicane complex. 230 on approach here. All Phones Arena on the left. That's the one that really tips the cars from side to side up on two wheels, and Shane Van Gisbergen arrives.
He cannot afford to waste a 10th here. And you can see it in the way he's driving.
Nice and easy. You have a clear entry and clear exit. So stop on your mark. Make sure the car's in neutral for us. Should be about 13, 14 seconds here. I'll get underway.
Massively critical stop. Okay, tyres going on. No mistakes here, boys. Fuel going on. This will be timed perfectly. They don't want to drop more fuel in this car than what they need to get home. You can see there, Dave, yep. Have a look at the fuel guy there. He's got a little digital counter. Look, he's shaking. Pressure, this is pressure stuff. Where's Whincup?
Well, he's 2 corners from home. It's going to be very close here. So now Jamie's heading into the left-hander at the final corner, 13. So Shane releases the 40k pit lane speed limiter. Here comes Whincup down the outside. Van Gisbergen on cold tyres. They'll be side by side to the first corner. We said it would be tight. It is. One bloke's got hot tyres, one bloke's got cold tyres, and Whincup positions up the inside and grabs him.
Timed it to the second, but Whincup carries a lot of speed down here to turn 2.
But Shane has the fresher tyres now, so when they come up to temperature and pressure, he's going to be pretty racy in about 2 laps from now, provided the car balance is good. And he'll be in the sort of frame of mind to want to win a race. And will Jamie be bothered with that?
Winterbottom's behind them, and Craig Lowndes is next in the queue as well. So this championship battle has some other players getting in between Whincup and Lowndes. Van Gisbergen is racing towards perhaps another win as we head to the final 20 laps of the Sydney 500.
David Reynolds has just punched out his fastest lap of the race. He leads. It's a 1:29.5 that time around, of course. His fuel's burning down. He last pitted on lap 27. He's only stopped once. 9 seconds clear of Jason Bright. This is on board with Whincup. He's 4th on the road, looking back to Van Gisbergen, who's had now a lap up at speed to get some temperature and pressure in the Dunlop rubber. Remember that Van Gisbergen drives a 888 built and designed Commodore. It runs a KRE engine, same engine supplier that 888 has, so it's got the same bit of kit. It's all about tuning it right and driving it right. Now he's got to hustle. He's got the fastest car in this race, a 1:29.03 back on lap 23, but Whincup's fastest times are 29.04. They're very, very equal in what they've got underneath them. Whincup's on target for championship number 5. But will he get into an argument with Van Gisbergen? He's proved this weekend he's up for a fight. If anyone wants to have a swing at him, he's prepared to fight. This is Will Davison in car 6. He's behind Dean Fiore, runs in 10th spot. He's looking, he's probing, he's in. That's 9th. And that'll give a run for Chaz Mostert. He's bringing his Wilson Security Dick Johnson teammate with him, Tim Blanchard, in the 17 car, who in turn has Scott McLaughlin now lunging down the inside. So pretty willing pack just outside the top 10. Fabian Coulthard's in there, Scott Pye next, Tim Slade, best of the Erebus Mercedes in this one. Now Coulthard tries to get a move on his fellow Kiwi. He won't do it there. Pye puts his nose in. Plenty of drama in this last race. Demo Derby stuff in the mid-pack.
There's a bit of push and shove going on here between these 4 cars. Coulthard's in it, Slade's in it. Scott Pye's just been doing some panel rubbing as well, and Scott McLaughlin's at the front of it, but this is Dean Fiore. And he is parked with big damage. So he's been given a serve by who we don't know, but car 88 has been given a huge whack.
Oh, well rooted, mate.
That's one of the Wilson security entries.
Doesn't look too bad from here.
Looks pretty bad from here.
Can't get it back here, mate. Come on.
So Dino gets it going, but the safety car is waiting. That's Tim Blanchard. He's gone in really heavy. Look at the damage to the front of that car. So this will show you, looking out the rear of Dean Fiore, here comes Blanchard. He can't stop.
That's actually a brake failure. something has happened there. There is no way that that car had total braking performance at that stage. It's just, you could see the closing speed at the end. That was 30 or 40 kilometres an hour difference in speed when that's made contact. Look at the damage to the front, the Blanchard car. Wow.
Could not stop it. Big damage, safety car. Take the opportunity to take a quick break, and then we can take you racing all the way to the checkered flag.
So that's the 6th DNF of the year for Tim Blanchard, and he's a double DNF for the weekend. He's out of that car and has walked away. The medical car down there to check on him. But damage to the 17, the famous number of team owner Dick Johnson. Reynolds, the leader, is in the lane for his final stop. Let's have a look again. This is on board with Dean Fiore. Have a listen to this. Oh, it got expensive by the second. Here's Reynolds, as I mentioned. He was the leader in the Bottle Ford.
Just waiting for fuel.
55 laps down.
Go, push, hard.
He rejoins. Jason Bright has stayed on the track.
Car line, mate. Push for that safety car line.
And here's the lead up. Reynolds rolls on down and resumes second, because there is Whincup and Van Gisbergen. Winterbottom with them. Safety car out. They'll form up behind when they get to the Petters STP Chrysler. And this will bunch the field. This will give us a race for the run home to round out 2013. Whincup is not there yet, but Lowndes is 6th. He needs to be top 5 to have any chance. There is the safety car with the leader, Jason Bright. Remember that Jason Bright pitted on 28. They came back in on 33 to take advantage of the safety car and swap their strategy. It's going to roll the dice. Remember, it's a 74-lap race. They've got to go away on fuel. Quite away, I should say. Dean Fiore hasn't pitted. He's stayed out there. So while the car is damaged cosmetically, they've elected to push on. And now he's got to catch the queue. It doesn't look like he's got a tyre rubbing there either. So he needs to get to the back of the safety car queue because he's still on the lead lap. He's the last car in 22nd. The voice you heard on the radio is Paul Morris, former full-time V8 supercar driver, finished 6th at Bathurst this year, co-driving with Scott Pye in the other Lucas Dumbrell Motorsport car. And now we're cruising along, and we've got a compressed field. A few guys with some scores to settle. Whincup is on target. He's 3rd on the road. He's 3rd in the race. No lap cars in and among the front runners. I think David Wall might be the only one, some 5 or 6 cars back in the queue. Lap 56, great shot of the precinct here. See that ground there? That's the home of the GWS Giants, the newest Australian rules football franchise. And that is the pit straight down Australia Avenue before turn 1, which is where Dean Fiore and Tim Blanchard ended up getting together. We're counting down. We've just gone past the 1.5 hour mark of this final race of the year. Jason Bright's in front. Can he hang on and win one more race for the year for BJR? We'll find out soon.
We are back and we're going the distance to lap 74. As the drama continues to unfold here, and this is why. Crunch. So Dean Fiore just with nowhere to go as Tim Blanchard didn't have a break, down there at the end of Australia Avenue. 250 Ks there, honking down there, and poor old Dino just felt the full force of it.
Dick Johnson, you've ridden the highs and lows of this sport that we love and come back for more and more. That is just a disappointing way to finish the season.
Oh, well, obviously there's not much you can do when the brake pedal goes to the floor, because it's pretty tough on brakes around here in between the concrete walls, and that things get a bit hot. So obviously the word we got back from Tim was the fact that the pedal went to the floor.
On another note, that we're only a few laps away from Jamie Whincup potentially grabbing a 5th championship, joining the club that you belong to, and also with Ian Gagan and Mark Scaife. Tell me your thoughts on Jamie, and how have you seen his career? He's only 30 years old and potentially going to take a 5th title.
Well, look, you know, it's a tough thing to do, because there's not any one thing wins races and or titles. It's a combination of everything, and they've obviously got everything working for them very, very well indeed. He's with a very good team, and certainly he's obviously got a good car and a good bunch of people around him. So that in itself is the sort of ingredients you need. And don't take it away from Jamie, he's a damn good driver. So at the end of the day, he's obviously the guy that deserves to win the championship, because he's the one that's been consistent all year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as we talk about the Johnsons and the Scaifes now, in years to come, we'll be talking about Jamie Whincup. Scaife, your thoughts on Jamie?
Oh, look, he's obviously done a great job, Rihanna. We've spoken so much about it. And as we go back to the restart, this is now a really complex finish here, Crompo.
Because Jason Bright is conserving fuel. They stopped him on lap 33. We had a safety car intervention between 32 and 36 for 4 laps for James Moffat, and we've just had another safety car intervention. So Team BOC and Brad Jones Racing, and that was the reason why Bright was driving round there at walking pace before. Every little drop of fuel for ethanol for him at the moment matters, and so Bright is genuinely a chance with pace and strategy to win this.
And the big beneficiary of that safety car was Dave Reynolds. So he actually did his stop under safety car, got back out while they were trawling around slowly. Dave fired in as quickly as he could, got back out, and that is a genuine spot for him. So he was leading beforehand. He's now back at the front.
And has fresh tyres. So Bright's running on fumes. David's got fresh rubber. Whincup wants a championship and no damage. Shane Van Gisbergen wants to climb over all of them.
And Craig Lowndes is in 6th. Now, if Whincup has a DNF, as the Scott Pye goes up, if Whincup has a DNF here, Lowndes has to be 5th.
And Russell Ingall fans, Russell is 10th.
Great. You pretty much halve your fuel mileage under safety car, so this is really tight for Jason Bright. Now, he's a very experienced campaigner. He knows precisely how to run high gears, save fuel, not pump the throttle pedal in those safety car periods. And that's what Brad Jones, Andrew Edwards and Jason Bright will have been doing. They've played these games before, and now Bright's got to play the magician. He has to make lap speed and not burn fuel. Van Gisbergen down the inside, P3, got him. Turn 1, nice job, Shane. And Lowndes has done the same, and covers to the left with Winterbottom, who wants to argue the case. Here they go to turn 2.
They came together yesterday in a controversial moment. And now Lowndes finds himself ahead of Winterbottom again on the track, but behind Jamie Whincup.
As you said, Matt, he had to make that move. It got the job done for Lowndes. Lowndes can only control how he runs this race. He's got to 5th. If Whincup doesn't finish, he wins the year.
This is a fascinating little scrap now. Bright wants to grab a win. He's done that twice already this year. David Reynolds just joined the winners list at the Gold Coast. He's just as hungry, and he's got a little edge up his sleeve at the moment called grit.
Look at this bloke.
And this guy's on the march. It means a lot to Van Gisbergen, his 200th V8 supercar race. He was the Clipsal 500 winner. Remember, that's where we start next year. New format on the Saturday, as I said before. And that is the commencement of the 2014 championship. So the reigning Clipsal 500 champion here is on the march at the moment. He's sizing up David Reynolds. He's been very strong under brakes, Van Gisbergen. Super strong, and he grabs a spot, uses the curb in the process. He's now P2, but here comes David on the crisscross. The Bottle-O car up the inside on the run to turn 2. This gives Bright a breather. This is great news for Jason Bright. And David snatches it back. Look at Reynolds climbing clumsily over the curbs at 2 and 3. Good race. Great race.
You get the feeling too that Whincup's just backed off a tiny bit there.
Exactly.
Just to get himself out of harm's way. If these guys trip over each other, Whincup and Lowndes don't want to be part of it.
100%. They're chucking bombs in front, aren't they? Here he is up the inside at 8. Remember, this is what he did yesterday. David gives him space, but it makes Reynolds slow on the exit. So here comes Whincup. Whincup could have him here on the run down Dawn Fraser Avenue into 9. He's side by side and got him. It still matters to Whincup. Bright's got a margin. He skipped away. He needs that. He can short shift, pull the gears a little earlier, squeeze the throttle gently, not blip it on the downshifts to save that fuel. And he's got a cushion. It's 1.3 seconds. Let's check his lap speed. A 1 minute 30.0. 1 minute 30.5 for Van Gisbergen, but that was with a pass. Whincup 1:30.6. Reynolds and Lowndes didn't register their timing. They've shaken the transponders out of them. Yeah, I know. It was a bit of theatre. Look at this. What a great battle this is. And now Lowndes is sizing up Reynolds here. 1.2 seconds the gap between Bright and Van Gisbergen. David doesn't look happy through that little complex, does he?
Neither did Craig. He had the curb in the middle of the car.
In the last lap around there, when Reynolds went in there hot, fighting Van Gisbergen, triggered just a minor mistake from Whincup as well, who followed them over the curbs.
Van Gisbergen was 3/10 quicker in the first timing sector. They're approaching the second timing sector. This is the exit of turn 8. You can see how much off camber there is. Oh, that was close, Tim Slade. The magnets in the wall were drawing him. Van Gisbergen's done the fastest sector split to the second sector into turn 9 on this lap of the entire race. Van Gisbergen's hot. He's chasing down Bright at the moment. It's 0.7 of a second he's on him. He's going to throw everything at this, the Kiwi. Yesterday, he crunched with Jason Bright's teammate at turn 8. So we know a little clue here to the way in which he attacks this. If he's got this pace at 8, he'll have a poke up the inside there. Here's Gizzy.
It was the same move on Dave Reynolds. So that's his spot.
Chris Clark, team manager, Brad Jones Racing, talking to the owner, Brad. Robert Van Gisbergen, bottom right of screen, Shane's dad. The gap is 0.5 of a second. It's Jason Bright, Shane Van Gisbergen, and the champion-elect, Jamie Whincup. Then it's David Reynolds. Craig Lowndes is not far away. It's not done yet. It's a 74-lap race.
Well, just with Brad Jones, there's so much happening here at the moment. First question, Brad, Brighty got enough fuel to get home?
Yeah, I think, well, we were definitely in fuel-saving mode before, and you know, Dave was going at it pretty hard, so we're pretty confident we got enough fuel to go home. Problem is the tyres have done a lot more work, and Shane's looks like he's almost unstoppable at the moment, so we'll see what happens, but Brighty will put up a good fight, but, you know, Shane's looking pretty racy out there.
Thanks, Brad. Good luck.
No worries.
18 laps younger, the tyres on Shane Van Gisbergen's car. Fastest man to the second timing intermediate. He's now 1 car length away from the lead of the car race. Jason Bright's the leader, but vulnerable. Van Gisbergen's hunting him down with Dunlop grip up his sleeve at the moment. It's a good corner exit from the final corner for Bright and for Van Gisbergen. Jason knows what to do. He'll cover a little bit to the left. But is it enough? Because Van Gisbergen's mega strong here into 1. Oh, it's so close down there. Bright hangs on just.
Laps to go, plenty of time. Just make it
rush this. Van Gisbergen has got pace. He shouldn't rush his pass. Just size him up. Just make sure. Look for turn 8. We know that's the spot that Shane's been using. Controversial collision yesterday with Fabian Coulthard. So this is now into the bus stop. Through 5, into 6, out of 7, up to the top of Dawn Fraser Avenue. This is the spot, but he's back too far. He needs to be way closer. He needs to be right up behind Jason Bright. He used a huge amount of curb there at 8. Bright's still resisting. He's driving very, very well, given that tyre life is so different.
It's hard to peel your eyes from this, but another impressive run at the moment also from Alex Davison, who was strong at Phillip Island. He's 7th in the Geraldwen entry. His brother Will is 8th. Chaz Mostert is 9th, and Russell Ingall, you asked the question earlier, can he get in the 10? He's in. He's 10th.
This is the spot. He's got to get a good run here, Van Gisbergen. He used a lot of curb normally. A little bit of oversteer, not quite good enough on the exit. You see that gap, it's almost 2 car lengths.
It's 0.3 of a second on the computer. And Bright will just position a metre shallow in the braking area to make sure that Van Gisbergen cannot sneak down the inside. So you just move the car slightly to the left again just to indicate I'm going to cover you. It's a near impossible spot to get up the inside here at 2. Van Gisbergen knows that. He'll be concentrating on tidy exits and tidy job climbing these curbs so that he can try and pull that move at 8. But remember, Bright's no deal. So he saw what happened yesterday. He discussed it in the truck with Coulthard. So he won't fall for the turn 8 trick lightly.
And they've had some really intense racing over the last couple of weeks because
Van
that was a bug
Gisbergen
against the fence for Shane, because Jason Bright pulled off one of the best passes on Van Gisbergen. He's got a better run this time. He passed him around the outside of turn 1 at Phillip Island. He's going to run this time, Van Gisbergen. He covers. Bright moves it over. He can't move back the whole way. He can't weave in the braking area. This will slow both of them down. Whincup needs to pull back from this just in case there's contact. He's going to get up here now.
He's got him. Jason might stick it out and try and get up the inside for the next one. Oh, gee, push that one all the way to the brink, Jason Bright. And here comes Whincup. Whincup contact at the final corner. Whincup barely gets away with that one. He does not need a DNF. He's got his teammate Lowndes right behind. And Jamie Whincup does not need steering damage or a DNF, or he's out of business for this season.
It hasn't stopped because Bright's back down the inside. Dave Reynolds will get the run also.
Whincup has found himself exactly where he doesn't want to be, in a brawl at the end of this race, because the consequences are huge. He ends up in the fence, he DNFs. Craig Lowndes, who is currently in 5th, will win the championship if he stays there. Cool heads need to prevail.
Van Gisbergen skipped away, 2.1 seconds. Car 97 VIP Pet Foods, he's checked out. But this battle, look at it. Bright, Whincup, Reynolds, Lowndes, Winterbottom, the brothers Davis and Alex and Will, then Mostert and Ingall, that's your 10. Tim Slade's just outside in the Erebus entry.
Oh, can't believe that.
Look at Lowndes. Lowndes on the inside here, and Reynolds. A desperate lunge. The thing wriggled under brakes into 9, and he had to tuck back in. He's all over the back of Davey. And he gets a little sniff of this, and Lowndes will buy in aggressively as well.
I thought Whincup was out there.
He was seriously close to it.
It was out. If Bright spins, it becomes a T-bone. So lucky Bright hung on to that when they bumped. They ended up running into each other almost side by side rather than the other way. But I thought for sure it was game over for Jamie Whincup.
Jason Bright was using all of his experience. He's done double the amount of races that Shane Van Gisbergen has done in his career. And he held him off for as long as he could, but when your tyres are 20 laps older than that man who's chasing you, it's always going to be a hard battle. The extraordinary thing as Van Gisbergen goes off into the distance was that Whincup found himself in that fight. He shouldn't have been in the ring, let alone swinging punches.
2.7 seconds gap, Van Gisbergen to Bright. He's the only one in the 29s, Shane Van Gisbergen. The others are all in the 30s. They're a good second or more slower per lap. Remember, Bright is struggling for fuel mileage. They were conserving. He might be okay now. He's got a rear vision mirror full of Jamie Whincup, and Bright's not prepared to relinquish a spot on the podium lightly here. And it appears as though Whincup's quite prepared to push the point as well. But he cannot push it to the point of not finishing, or he loses the championship.
Just check the steering angle there. It's definitely bent. It's right hand down. So it has affected. We'll have a look at it again when we get ourselves straight so that we can check that for you. So that's where they made contact. They're almost game over. You just see there, slightly right hand down. So left hand for Whincup is up, right hand is down. So it has bent the steering.
And I reckon that we got away with that to a large degree, because when they locked horns there in the final corner, that had huge potential to severely damage the steering on Jamie's car, and if Jason had ended up whacking that wall, he would have shot back into him and T-boned him.
Exactly.
Oh, look at Lowndes. He had to go all the way to the right of the curbing then in 3.
I think Jamie's used his head now. He's just pulled back off right a little bit. So let's just calm all this. So this was the pass. Great move by Van Gisbergen. Bright tried to stay on the outside and then be on the inside for the next. That was clumsy. Then Jason is out wide, turns in. Jamie's up there. Look at this. If he makes the fence, it's a T-bone.
It's millimetres from catastrophe.
Seriously, you cannot believe they got away with that.
Cool race, though. Oh, right. 3.5 seconds, Van Gisbergen to Bright.
This was nasty too. There's just no room down there, so Lowndes holding on to 5th. That's all he can control. He can't control what happens with Whincup. But if something does happen, he has to make sure that he's top 5. The gap, 3.6 seconds.
1 minute 29.3 for Van Gisbergen. They've all settled down now. Bright's back in the 29s, 29.9. Whincup 29.8. Reynolds 29.7. Then Lowndes in 5th. Remember, he toured through the chicane, so the time doesn't register. 30.0 for Winterbottom. And then the rest of them are all in the 30s. Alex Davis and Will Davis and Chaz Mostert and Russell Ingall 10th, with Tim Slade just behind. There they are in the background. That's Reynolds 4th. It'll reignite here, but it'll take a moment for them to all gather it back up.
Other than Van Gisbergen, that whole field was basically in that precinct between turn 1 and turn 2, all in that same straight. So it's very compact and very similar speed for everybody other than Shane. Look, you can see now great vision of turn 5 into 6 into this bus stop area. But turn 8, this is where there's been so much drama over the years. Even yesterday, down Dawn Fraser Avenue, we're on board with Whincup looking back at Reynolds. And it was good also to clear that up for you with Dick Johnson confirming the damage after Tim Blanchard brake pedal went to the floor, meaning there's a hydraulic failure, and Blanchard made very heavy contact with the back of Dean Fiore at turn 1.
Caruso here, collected that tyre that's come out of the bundle. So it was already out before he hit it. It's in a very nasty spot. And Michael Caruso down in 19th. Well, it's behaved itself.
I think Nick Percat picked it up and threw it back.
One of the officials actually jumped over and grabbed that, so they do a great job. A big shout out to all our volunteers and officials for the final race meeting of the year. Thank you so much for all your assistance and help throughout a very busy and chaotic 2013.
Another point to make here is they'll be feeling it, these guys, with 250 Ks yesterday. The back end of the championship season is intense. All the way from Sandown in September to this point, there's a lot of racing, a lot to play for, high mental and physical workload. They'll be glad when they get to the end of this.
Yeah, it's just the end of a long year too, Croppo. You know, you sort of last 5 laps of the season basically, and you go, yeah. For some, wow, what a great year. For some, we've got to just get this over and done with.
Yeah, hit the reset button.
That's right.
So this is Winterbottom looking at the back of Craig Lowndes, who in turn is looking at the back of David Reynolds, who's looking at the back of Jamie Whincup, who's looking at the back of Jason Bright. And nobody can see Shane Van Gisbergen because he's 4.3 seconds up the road.
pretty much sums up how Crompo thinks backwards.
Ooh, big oversteer for Lowndes in the final corner. That was a big catch there.
There's the heart rate. So you try to do 2 hours at over 150 beats per minute.
Well, ours went up and we're in the com box. So that was a very big slide for Craig Lowndes, much further than that, and you whack that concrete wall on the right.
It's also got bent steering. I don't think there'd be a car out there that wouldn't have.
And for this man, oh, little mistake. Little mistake. Reynolds will let him know it too. Whincup again.
Shades of Bathurst 2012. Whincup versus Reynolds.
So at this stage, it's got to be about process, doesn't it, Scafey? I mean, you've been in this position, you know what it's like, and he knows what's on the line here, and he also knows that it's not done with yet. So what does he do? Does he go back to the processes, treats them like any other lap, tries to block out all that emotion?
100%, Matt. He has to just focus real hard on driving the car as well as he can possibly drive it in these closing stages. We know how hard this circuit bites. We know that one little mistake will put him out. And Lowndes in P5 wins the year. So the intensity and the pressure on Jamie Whincup right now is unbelievable. It's immense.
And ditto for Craig Lowndes. He has to make sure that he does exactly the same. He can't afford to find a fence in the next 3-odd laps.
Bright was actually the quickest guy of, well, everybody in the top 10 then. He was 0.6 quicker than Shane Van Gisbergen, so he's pulled the margin back slightly, 3.8 seconds.
Extraordinary level of commitment and skill and quality racing. This is motorsport at its best, and we'll take a look at that. FPR equal third at the moment. Will Davison and Mark Winterbottom locked on 3:01, but that would flip because Mark Winterbottom would get it on countback. Third in the championship. It'll be Taylor for car 888.
By virtue of more wins by 1. So 3 to Frosty, 2 to Will Davison. So that's what the determinant would be.
Yeah, so right now you might actually call on your brother, Alex Davison, to maybe shift it over right now, because if Will Davison grabs the Alex Davison position, so if he goes from 8th to 7th, he finishes 3rd in the year. That's a little family click.
Not sure how they're going to tom-tom that one to each other. Jason Bright has gone straight through the chicane on this lap as well.
There they are. There's Alex in the gel went forward. There's Will behind him. So you're right. And remember that Jamie Whincup admitted that he stepped aside to let Craig Lowndes through at times. So it happens out there, and Alex could well and truly help his brother along.
Matthew, a quick little chat with Brad Jones down here. He said Bridie's not home yet. He reckons they're within half a lap. So that's going to go down to the wire. But I think it's about now we reflect and say, you don't win a championship just here in a race, you win it over a season. And Jamie's not there yet, but he has done a stellar job. And what's impressed me is the way he stepped up onto the plate on the times when it's been tough, and no more so than this weekend. His job yesterday in particular, I thought, was first class, a first-class drive. His restarts were great, his starts were great, his pit stops were great. All the little detail stuff we talk about. And again today, he's managed to keep out of trouble, but in the end, look at the way he's done it. He still showed us that he's a tough, tough racer. Love it.
Now, for Bright to get home here, he has to achieve pretty special fuel mileage. On our numbers, it's somewhere between 2.6, 2.7 litres per lap. That's a tall ask, and better than any numbers that I've spotted so far this weekend. Depends on how good he is in fuel-saving mode with his downshifts, his early gear shifting. But as you just said before, after the conversation with Brad Jones, he's definitely not out of the woods at the moment, Jason Bright.
They need some telepathic thoughts to be transmitted here between Will and Alex. So 2 more laps to close out this season. Shane Van Gisbergen, superior pace, fresh tyres, aggressive racing. He deserves this win today. He started on pole position. Jason Bright playing an entirely different game. He's in conservation mode. He's trying to hold on to a podium spot. Jamie Whincup just wants a clear run, and the title is his again.
But Will is Alex's landlord, so there could be other issues at play in here. So there's rent and all sorts of stuff to argue about.
Well, does your brother move over? I would, at 100 miles an hour, this would be for third position for the year. At the moment, as we said on the countback, it will go to Winterbottom rather than Will Davison.
Oh, Jason Bright clobbered the fence, then under pressure from Whincup. Jamie got an eyeful of it, and this makes him vulnerable on the exit of turn 8. So here comes Whincup. He gassed up and slid very close to the wall. That probably hurt him slightly, but he's thinking about a look down the inside at 9. But because Jamie's car slid, he couldn't get it together. Now he gives him a rat-tat-tat.
Just don't do it. I mean, seriously, you make contact, you don't finish.
David Reynolds doesn't want to be the villain. He doesn't want to be the one to turn around Whincup.
See, for the guys in car 8 and 55, they're not remotely interested in whether these guys do or don't win a championship.
So this is it, final lap.
Bring it home.
Van Gisbergen's off in the distance, 4 seconds clear. So effectively it's a parade lap for Shane Van Gisbergen. It should be that really for Jamie Whincup. But the Sydney Olympic Park Street Circuit has other ideas. That's the gap between 1 and 2. He started the season with back-to-back pole positions and won the Clipsal 500. Shane Van Gisbergen will finish the season with pole position. More than likely a victory here in the NRMA Motoring and Services 500. But Jamie Whincup, half a lap to go. Negotiates the bus stop, the chicanes. Up to turn 8. Onto Dawn Fraser Avenue. Yesterday he won his 75th career race, his 11th for the season. He has been the modern day master of V8 supercars. At times he's quite incredible to watch. He's in a zone where nobody else can be. And Red Bull Racing Australia will do it again. A great day for VIP Pet Foods and Team Techno as Shane Van Gisbergen collects another race win to close out the season. But Jamie Whincup, the best in the business, is now alongside the best of all time. 5 championships.
Nice work! Number 5, wow.
He now sits up there with the greats.
Beautiful fight, brother.
With Ian Gagan, with Dick Johnson.
Jamie, well done. Brilliant. Well done. You deserve it.
With Mark Scaife. It's a thoroughly deserved victory.
Thank you, boys and girls. Amazing tough year. Well done. 1-2. Could be better.
Craig Lowndes yet again second in the championship. Will Davison did get past his brother Alex. So that means that Will finish 3rd in the championship as he farewells FPR. These are moments to remember in Australian motorsport history, because Jamie Whincup has just simply been at another level. Roland Dane is a very happy man. It wasn't easy, it never is, and there are no guarantees at this circuit. He had his nervous times. But boys, I think he won the championship yesterday. Yeah, that's where he really did it. He did everything asked of him on the opening day. He delivered flawless laps, started on pole, got the win, gave himself the cushion, and then delivered again today. Shane Van Gisbergen in his 200th career race as a milestone to celebrate another win, the 4th of his career, first here on the Sydney Street Circuit. And a good way to bookend the season as well. The Clipsal 500 champion, Sydney 500 champ. A great effort for Team Techno Autosports. Get out of the way, folks. Here comes the Giz. Bright
Great
second.
drive there, buddy. Hard work today. And pretty up and down year, but good to finish on a high. Thanks.
Has been an up and down year, but a really solid year. Whincup will be on the podium as he celebrates title number 5. He's been locked in a battle all year with Mark Winterbottom, with Will Davison and with his teammate Craig Lowndes. And that's a full stop on 2013 by Jamie Whincup. Celebration stories all round. Congratulations to Shane van Gisbergen. When he finishes here, he normally finishes on the podium. He's so good at the streets.
Good job.
30 years of age, 5 overall, 3 in a row. The youngest man to do the high 5 in terms of championships. Along with his 4 Bathurst victories, his 2 Barry Sheen medals. You're watching the very best at work.
Hey, Shane, mate, congratulations. An absolutely stellar drive. I've got to ask you, why are you so dominant on these streets? What do you love about this place?
I don't know. The car just seems to suit it, and nobody else tries to pass, so gave it a few goes. And, you know, we had a different strategy to most there, the guys we were racing, and fortunately didn't quite clear Whincup, so we had to race him, and then we mucked up under the yellow. We didn't go fast enough, and Reynolds got in there, but car's awesome. What a great way to finish, and so proud of these guys. 3 podiums in the weekend. It's great.
Well, it is, mate. You started with a win, finished with a win, and 5th in the championship. Look out 2014. Well done, pal.
Thank you. Cheers.
And we'll get around here and see if we can get a quick word with Jason Bright. Hey, Brighty, made it home with a sniff of fuel in the petrol tank, mate. Good strategy, good speed. You must be pleased to finish the year that way.
I am really pleased. I mean, I said coming into this weekend that, you know, our weakness this year has been street tracks, and, you know, we could have won that one if it wasn't for that last safety car. You know, but we still had the pace to finish second regardless. So, you know, really happy. Like, it puts me in a good spot for next year, because, you know, this year the street tracks really killed us, and you know, we were great on the fast flowing circuits. We just needed to put a whole season together.
Well done, mate. Bit of kick in the old boy yet. Look forward to next year.
I'm not old.
So there's the car, Red Bull Racing Australia, and the man, Jamie Whincup, that's got the job done. You start looking through some of the numbers, Scafey, and championships are won incrementally throughout the whole year. 36 races, and the number of race wins, the number of pole positions, his qualifying average, all of the elements required to get the job done, he's ticked the boxes.
No doubt, Neil. It's been an extraordinary performance. And we've said so many times through the year that he is the benchmark operator at the moment. And that qualifying performance, as you just said, in terms of numbers, really sets that up, doesn't it? That's what it's about. If you start at the front of the field, you stay out of trouble. Truly one of the greats, isn't he? Like, unbelievable record at that time, isn't it? 3 in a row.
Five times in 6 title attempts. He's still just 30 years of age. There's still a long time to keep building on that. He could go on to be one of the all-time greats, if not the man. His engineer, Mark Dutton.
What a relationship they've had, Crompo. One of the most successful winning streaks in Australian motorsport. Incredible pairing. They read each other so well. There are very few times when Mark Dutton really has to lean on Jamie Whincup, and vice versa. Victory lane has never tasted so sweet.
There's Craig. He's walked up to congratulate Jamie. He's just there now.
Jamie Whincup, congratulations. Championship number 5, and you did it with style. You fought all the way. You could have sat back and done it safely. Congratulations there from Craig Lowndes, but that was just brilliant. Congratulations.
Yeah, unbelievable. It's just a huge team effort, you know. It's been a tough year, without doubt, for everyone. We rolled out this new car, and just been an unbelievable team effort. Big thanks to Lowndesy. You know, it's just as much his as what it is mine. We've dug deep. We're in a bit of a hole mid-season, but then dug deep, and
wow, number 5, I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Jamie, I know coming into this race, you talked it down that you weren't feeling the pressure, but I think those of us who saw you week in, week out could see that it was weighing on you a little bit. This is one that you really wanted.
Oh, it's clearly a massive deal, a massive deal. We sort of dedicate our lives to sport, and I just love my motor racing, you know, I just love driving, and although I needed to just finish 18th, I just couldn't help myself but to race hard till the end. It's the car was unbelievable. I'm just really happy I could showcase what an awesome team it is, and what an awesome car.
Jamie, for you, go back to the start of the year. You'd won 4, you're front up for another season. What was the motivation to get this one? What drove you this year?
To be honest, you know, there was a lot of speculation that last year's cars were better than the rest. You know, we developed them, but car of the future, all the cars are the same now. You know, so we come out and battle equally, and it's just an awesome feeling knowing we got over the line.
And Jamie, it's your big moment right now, but do you want to say a couple of words about your teammate here?
No, obviously it's Lowndesy's been right there. We've worked together. We've got a much better relationship than Vettel and Webb at the moment, you know, which is a good thing. You know, we push each other hard and just keep chipping away at the car. Even Friday, even yesterday, we're both working together to achieve this, and to get 1-2 is just a phenomenal feeling.
Congratulations, Lowndes, and you were right in it till the end. You made him go all the way.
Yeah, well, we did, Brett. So I think that's one of those things that, look, it's congratulations to him, because he was a champ and he deserves it. He was fast all weekend. He's been fast all year, and you know, as he said, it's a credit to these guys. You know, we've been able to switch sort of models of cars from the Holden to this now car of the future Holden, and of course, you know, swap sponsors, do everything, and the team's still kicking along. So, but look, it's a credit to him. He's a legend.
Gee, Lowndes, it's just been a great year, hasn't it? I mean, to see you back up there again, fighting it out with your teammate, has been brilliant.
Well, it has, and I think he's right. Like, we have got a great relationship, and we work very hard together to make sure both cars are up the front, because, you know, as soon as we start fighting each other, we fight the rest of the field. So, you know, as I said, it's a credit to him. He's knuckled down all year. We've had our ups and downs, but he's come out on top, and as I said, he had a great run today, and I can see the boys already cheering on. But just hello to Levi and Chili back home, and look, you know, what a hell of a year.
Kind of a celebration, Lowndesy. Well done.
Thank you, tough.
131,199 people here over the last few days, and today they've witnessed a record-equalling performance in terms of the Australian Touring Car Championship V8 Supercars, and Jamie Whincup will celebrate accordingly. So how did it finish in terms of race 36 of the season? Well, as we know, Van Gisbergen claims the victory. Jason Bright stuck it out to the end. There wouldn't have been much left in the tank, but he made it onto the podium. David Reynolds, so Lowndes finished in 5th. Winterbottom finishes in 6th. Will gets past Alex to go 3rd in the championship, and Russell Engel finishes off his career in 10th. As I said, the power of positive thinking. Like to think that we all helped Russell along there, the enforcer. Farewell, mate. We've enjoyed every single lap. Midfield, Todd and Rick Kelly, 17th, 18th, and Michael Caruso should have been much higher than 19th. And your regulation DNFs at the Sydney Street Circuit. This one's belongs to Scott Pye, Tim Blanchard. Boy, that was a huge incident where he just didn't have a break down there at turn 1. Garth Tander and James Moffat. So that's how the season finished. 13 different race winners. And at the top of the tree, Jamie Whincup with 11 race wins. Time for the podium today, Bretts.
Great part of our weekend. Podium time, race 36, our final race of the year, the Sydney NRMA Motoring and Services 500. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please congratulate our winning drivers. In first place, Techno Team VIP Pet Foods, Shane Van Gisbergen. In second place for Team BOC, Jason Bright. In third place for Red Bull Racing Australia, Jamie Whincup. And representing the winning team, Techno Team VIP Pet Foods, is Blake Smith. Making the presentation of the third place trophy is Michael Shearer, Commercial Manager, Cooper's Brewery. Presenting the second place trophy is David Ajala, Managing Director, Automotive Division, Super Cheap Auto. Making the presentation to our winning team is John McMillan, Chief Executive Officer, Wilson Security. And making the presentation of the first place trophy from our major sponsor, NRMA, is Patrolman Phil Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2013 V8 Supercars Sydney NRMA Motoring and Services 500 Race 36 winners. And now to present our V8 Supercars champion for 2013. Ladies and gentlemen, from Red Bull Racing Australia, please congratulate our V8 Supercars champion, Jamie Whincup. Making the presentation of the championship trophy is John Condy, AO, Chairman, Destination New South Wales. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2013 V8 Supercars champion, Jamie Whincup.
A very proud moment for Jamie Whincup. 2008, 2009, 2011, 2012, now 2013 V8 Supercars champion. And that will be just the start of a very long and thorough celebration. So this is how they finished. Whincup 128 points clear of Lowndes. Will Davison third in the championship. Congratulations to Will as he exits FPR. That victory puts Shane Van Gisbergen top 5 and top 10 goes to Scott McLaughlin in his rookie year in our championship. "36 races, we went far and wide, we crossed the globe, and at the end of it all, Jamie Whincup, who won races at 8 out of our 14 events, is at the top of the tree, and Roland Dane savouring this one. Might go all the way to the bottom of that bottle. Larko.
Yep, got Frosty down here, Mark Winterbottom. Probably not as happy as you'd like to be. A little bit of mixed emotion, mate. Fourth in the championship overall, well done, but you probably wanted a P3, didn't you?
Yeah, it doesn't, to be honest, 3 or 4, it's still a loser, so you want that number 1, and I went hard yesterday. I wasn't worried about finishing third. I finished there the last, I think, 3 years. So, yeah, just want to try and win one, and you've got to go all out, and that's what I tried to do this weekend. But end of the day, you know, we had a good year. We had ups and downs, and it was pretty eventful, but it's good. I tried to give James, my engineer, a good send-off, so it is what it is.
All right, mate, we look forward to next year if you keep that momentum up. Will, you've managed to climb up into third position in the championship. Well done, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, Larko. It's, you know, at the end of the day, that was realistically all that was possible for me this weekend. It's been a tough weekend, but I've just consolidated. So, you know, I'm obviously got a bit of satisfaction inside right now. Frosty's a quality teammate. We've had a great 3 years. So I fought hard. I had a bit of a bent car again, but, you know, just thanks so much to FPR for a great 3 years and bring on the future.
Well done, pal.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
So let's check out the highlights. You'll remember that Shane Van Gisbergen started on pole position. He had Jason Bright alongside him. The second row of the grid was really interesting with Whincup and Winterbottom side by side, but Lowndes was the aggressive one. Starting from 9th, he had a little look on the inside. Tony D'Alberto here would find the fence. Interestingly, though, it took, 32 laps before we saw a safety car, which is really unusual at this circuit. Quickly developed into a battle between FPR and Red Bull Racing Australia, as you'd expect. They always manage to find each other out there on the circuit. So this is 1 versus 5, Whincup versus Winterbottom, and that could have been disaster.
That was so close. On board now with Winterbottom. Whincup moves him over, and they make contact at over 200 kilometres an hour. That was a game changer, Matt.
Will Davison here. Car dropped while Phil was still going in pit lane. That's a no-no. And throughout this highlights reel, you will continue to see car 97 in the mix. He was always there. Played a little bit of a different strategy game. This is push and shove. Scott Pye, Scott McLaughlin, Fabian Coulthard. Watch this. That's what happens when a V8 supercar loses its brakes at 250 kilometres an hour heading down to turn 1. And that's a snapshot that Jamie Whincup will be quite happy to take.
And this man 13 pole positions, 2013, 11 wins, 21 podiums for this season. Extraordinary performance. 9 different guys have had a pole, 13 different winners for this championship season. 17 of the 28 drivers have had a podium. Great mix.
Craig Lowndes second in the championship yet again. The only man in the field after 36 races and all that drama to finish every single race of the season. We've got replays coming up of the 2 races that we've had this weekend on 7 Mate. You know the drill, Monday and Tuesday at 1 o'clock. So you can relive all the moments there, and also the moments that made 2013, well, easily, guys, I reckon our best season yet. 2-hour special, 5:30 on 7 Mate. That is next Friday. Closing thoughts about this season. Crompo just ran through the numbers. Mark, you've just seen Jamie Whincup equal you, Dick Johnson and Ian Gagan in the record books as a 5-time winner. This one had it all.
It had it all, absolutely, Matt. It's the best season I've ever seen. Not just the number of winners, but the number of teams that won. 9 different teams won races this year. There were only 2 teams last year. So the quality of the racing, the intensity at the front, the performance by Whincup, I mean, he is one of the all-time greats. A superstar performance this year.
There's no question about it. And when you go back through the laps that Jamie Whincup's been putting down over the last 6 years, I mean, we're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of laps, and more often than not, he will put down what is really hard to put into practice in a V8 supercar, a perfect lap. He can do it in qualifying, he can do it in a shootout, and importantly, he can do it in a race. 11 race wins, more than double the nearest competitor for the season. And Red Bull Racing Australia have dominated the championship over the last decade. Jamie Whincup has been their flag bearer, and he deserves that trophy. 75 career wins. The question now for Whincup is how far can he go? He's only 30 years of age. He's signalled his intention to stick around in this category for a while. Let's hope he does. We've had an extraordinary season. It goes all the way back to March in the Clipsal 500. We went all around Australia, over to New Zealand, a record-breaking appearance in Austin, Texas. And we know that you've been with us for every lap along the way. A lot of people put a lot of work into making sure that you enjoy your V8 supercars. We hope you have. On behalf of everybody at V8 Supercars Media and 7 Sport, bye for now.